Hi, and welcome to Thursday with a Friend. My name is Lawrence, and man, today I have a special guest, a guy who I mentioned to a while back about him coming on. And listen, there's usually only about 4 months that I can do. It takes time. I don't want all Joe guys. After Joe Fest, I didn't want to just have like all kinds of Joe guys. I want to see a lot of different people. I want to introduce you guys to other people. But anyway, I can already see there's some new faces in the chat, which is awesome. So anyway, my special guest, art by Akerman, Curtis Akerman. Thank you for joining me. How are you doing?
I'm doing excellent. Thank you for having me on. Long time coming. So,
well, again, I just as I
patiently
said,
waiting.
again, like you're only doing. Again, I don't have other guests on like other shows. I do this one, and I like to sprinkle it in, and I like to hold off on the big guests, right?
Yeah, so one of those is coming after me, like next week.
You are the big guest.
Oh, okay, gotcha. half of your audience is probably like, we don't know who this is. So
half my audience, a lot of the times, don't know who they are, and I'll tell you this: I've asked people to come on that they're like, well, no one, I don't think anyone wants to hear me. I'm like, but I want to talk to you. This is about people that have helped support me, and I want to showcase you. I have a girl, Stephanie, coming on in a couple weeks, and I don't think she's ever been in my live chat. She comments on almost every single one of my classic reviews of the GI Joes. She knows her stuff. And I left the comment for her, and when she left the comment, I'm like, hey, please message me here. I'd love to have you on. She's like, I don't think people really. I'm like, I don't care. I want to have you on.
Yeah.
So,
it's fun to just talk to people and get to know them. So.
Yeah, the whole goal of this show, and I don't know if I ever told you. I know I've told other people. I always want to highlight bringing people that have supported me, whether it be on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, wherever it is, right? Because I could go after all the big guys like everyone else, but eventually, it's like I want to have like those people aren't supporting you. Some are, but they're not really supporting you. And for me, when I be in like a show with a lot of people like Geek Dead Life and Toy Anxiety, where there's like 400 people watching, and I always see people like in the comments, and I'm like, what's their story? What do they have to say? Because I don't know anything about them. And I used to think like Thanos Copter was like this huge channel. Come to find out, like Geek Dead Life just kind of picked him out probably because of his name, and he barely does a YouTube channel. He's got an amazing Instagram.
So he's got a very controversial Instagram. Yes.
How he's still on Instagram, I don't know.
I'm a little mad at Thanos right now. We're kind of beefing. So
I'm sorry.
Yeah, because I went and got this Valaverse figure because it looked just like him, and then he shaved his goatee, and then he said, "Oh well, I'm gonna grow it back." Well, it's been like a month, and I saw him this past weekend, and it was still completely shaved off, and so now I need a new head for this Valaverse figure. It's the only reason I bought it. Thanks, Thanos. So, yeah.
That's actually pretty good.
I'm gonna need Bobby to sculpt a new head with no goatee. So,
oh, good luck on that one.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's head of the chat really quick before we start getting in everything. So we have U.S. Combat Dojo here. We have Beardy jumping in here, and he's been a member for 12 months. So you get a
fucking Phil Collins.
Poor Phil Collins. Crusty Old Cole. We have Dirk's Designs. I'm guessing he's got to be one of your guys, right?
He's one of my dudes. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I love me some Dirk. He's the trash panda.
So. Oh, that's what he is.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Great to have you. We have Menhuza here, Dub3, which must be another one of your guys.
Amazing photographer, Lacerda Photo on Instagram.
Photo.
Yeah, great photography.
It looks like he's got a little Geico running around in a circle there.
Yeah.
Derek Hoover, who will be a guest this month also. We have 3-star draw. We have Action Figs, one of my moderators, Ed. We have Wholesome Warlock, which I know is one of your guys, but he's been in here before. Tony's Figs, who was just on your show, if I am correct.
Yep. Love some Tony.
Fantastic. So we got Stanley Eberhardt. And then Steve Martin jumping in here. We have Quip from Geek Dead Life, who I just kind of recently mentioned there. HK of Vipers joining us. And let's see here. And then this is one of your guys. I'll let you pronounce the name.
Guaisagwe Echevarria.
And I know he's been here before when other guys that are, I believe, associated with some sort of Four Horsemen Mythic Legions. Because
he's amazing. His family's amazing. They actually collect Mythic Legions and customize together. Really super wholesome family. So
Mythic Legions and wholesome. I never really thought those went together, but
oh yeah, totally.
And then we got Benny Torres and Rowdy Ryle. So great to have some new people, some new faces. And I don't care why you tuned in. If you're tuning in to hear Curtis, then great. If you're tuning in to hear me, then you hate yourself. And hey, we've all been there. And then we have GI Bro right here, the best guns in the business. Okay.
Save some guns for the rest of us.
Oh, you should see them. I mean, they're marvelous in real life. Oh, wait a minute. Nolan is here, so now we are Toy Tube official.
Oh,
so now we can actually officially start the show. Okay, so I'm gonna ask a very simple question,
okay,
which I think most people can kind of figure out. But where does art by Akerman come from?
So, I've been in the Mythic Legions community, been customizing for a while. Was starting an Instagram channel, was kind of trying to brand it and everything because I was going to have a table at Legions Con. And I was working with my buddy Lynn, who runs Wolf King Customs. And I told him, I was trying to come up with something that would incorporate me and my wife, because my wife actually makes soft goods for Mythic Legions. So it's kind of a collaboration together. So I didn't want it to be something Curtis or whatever. So I wanted to be the two of us. And he came up with the art by Akerman and like this little kind of design for it that had a hand with a paintbrush, and then the thumb, it's real hard to see, but the thumb has paint on the thumb, because I'm notoriously, one of the things that I get shit over is anytime I'm like posting a photo of something I painted, that people will see my painted thumbnail in the photo and give me shit about it. But it's just one of those things that I do to kind of make sure that I don't have too much paint on the paintbrush, make sure I can get a nice crisp line before I actually put it on the figure. So
you use your thumb for that?
I do.
Whatever works.
Yeah.
I don't have the patience to paint. I can do a little bit, but I see stuff like Tony does and you and other guys. No, I'm not even. I'll leave it to other. I'll do other stuff.
The good thing is there's all kinds of different things that you can do, and some of it doesn't require patience. Like dry brushing is one of the easiest things that you can do, and it's super rewarding. Like you basically just put some paint on a big brush, you wipe a bunch of it off. You can use like a paper towel. I use a dry brush palette, but you just basically dry most of the paint off, and then you just lightly go over whatever the figure is that you're doing. And you can add kind of a metal effect to it. You can, just kind of bring out highlights and things. Like if you've got a figure with fur or something, you can kind of bring out those details of the fur. And it's like so stupid easy that really anybody can do it. And then you get done, you're like, wow, I did that. And it's, looks amazing. So
hey, I was happy to learn how to remove paint using, I forget the name of the stuff. They no longer make the same formula.
If you're going to say the Winsor Newton Restore Cleaner, I might have to just leave the channel, because I am so pissed at Tony right now. Like, is that what you're talking about?
Oh yeah. I have a small bottle of it, and
I've seen it in his videos. And I went, and so they don't make it, but you can go to places that it'll look like they still have it.
Well, they make Winsor Newton, but it's a new formula.
It's a new formula. It doesn't say restore; it just says cleaner.
Yes.
Yeah. And so I've ordered it off of Michael's with the right picture. Gave me the wrong thing. Ordered it off of Walmart, and it even said, like somebody had asked in the comments, "Is this the Restorer?" And they said yes. and ordered it, wrong thing. Ordered it from Home Shopping Network, wrong thing. Ordered it from Amazon, wrong thing. Ordered it from eBay, wrong thing. So at this point, I think that Tony is a liar, and I think that anybody that says that it exists is a liar. I think that he has sent out empty bottles with this label on it, and people have just filled it up with water and are just telling me that this stuff exists because I've never seen it in person.
Not only do I have it, it is the only custom video that I've done showing how to remove paint from Tiger Force Rakondo.
I hate it.
And
until I find a bottle of it, I'm not going to believe it exists.
So here's what I want to say.
Yeah.
I went all over, and I actually bought the new formula, and I should have. I was trying to get something else too for my house, and I was at what's the place that just went out of business?
Joann's Fabrics.
Yes, I was there, and I know why they went out of business. And I saw it there, and it was behind a cabinet, and I was like, you know what? I have the other bottle. It's probably the same stuff. It was not. And I sat there going back, and I was so aggravated. I went back up there, and it literally took an hour for me to find one person, because there was only 3 people working the whole store. Again, why they went out of business, to open it up. And I should have bought the big bottle, even though I don't do that much, to know that it's completely gone.
If I can ever find the big bottle, I'm totally buying it. But once again, I don't think it exists. So I don't believe it.
I can tell you it is not a myth. Because normally I'm like you.
Yeah.
Normally I'm like you.
I mean, the more that I kept just every single place that I ordered from, and I mean, I would go to like the comment section. I would go to eBay, and I would message the person. Is this the one with the black label that says restore? Absolutely. Order it, gets it in. No, this is the new formula. I'm like, you sons of guns. And I'm
I'll say this. I'm looking at the new formula, and when I was trying to get it to work, and I'm like, and I think I messaged Tony. I'm like, how long should this take? I might even call them. And he was like, dude, it should come right off. I'm like, it's not.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't even know what it's like. You said, it's water, basically.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I tried the same thing, because he had a video with the one where he took off the Superman logo off the chest and put the logo on it. And I was like, well, I'll try this stuff. Maybe you have to wait a little bit longer. Maybe you have to work a little bit harder. No, it does not do anything.
That's what I was thinking too.
Yeah.
And the first person I had heard about it from was Payne's Toy Samples. He had said it. And then it was Tony that was like, yeah, this is.
I'm guessing that there's something in the formula that was like deemed to be toxic or something, to where they had to, change it or whatever. But yeah,
it's a chemical to remove paint.
Jack shit. So
it's a chemical to remove paint. It's all toxic, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Look, Plastic Skull says, I have tried to find this magical stuff and never could find this.
Yeah. I mean, if anybody finds one of the big bottles of it, like, I will trade good stuff. I will buy it. I will pay exorbitant price, whatever I've got to do. So yeah, if somebody finds that stuff, let me know.
The problem is the SKU number is the exact same as a new shit. And that's exactly what it is. It's bullshit. It's just pure shit. I have a bottle of it, and I ordered some stuff off Amazon.
I've got 4 bottles of it, thanks to Tony, of the new stuff. Yeah. So I don't know what I'm ever going to do with it, because as far as I can tell, it doesn't do anything. Like, it doesn't clean brushes. It doesn't,
Well, if it doesn't remove paint, how does it clean the brush? Isn't the whole purpose of it to like clean the brush, right? So I thought the same thing. I'm like, well, what does this do? Well, I'm glad it's not just you, but I did find a bottle, and I should have bought more. I guess
it's Winsor Newton Restorer and Cleaner. It has to say the Restorer, and it's got a black label instead of a gray label.
I'll grab it really quick here. I have it. But anyway,
I still don't believe it exists. So I think Tony is just messing with me. I'm punked at this point. Yeah. Tony called Ashton Kutcher. They created this whole elaborate scheme. They're like, here's what we're going to do. It's going to be really funny. We're going to tell them about this amazing product, but it doesn't really exist. We're going to make up some labels. We're going to put it on some water bottles. We're going to fill them up with water. It's going to look crystal clear. It's going to look like it's just water. We're going to say this is magic. It's magic in a bottle, but you can't get it.
All right. So here we go. So this
crap
is the crap. Absolutely correct.
Yeah.
Is it a different bottle? So I don't even know why. I don't understand why it has the same SKU number, different bottle and everything. This is what you're looking for.
Yeah. Clear, black label. Yep.
And I can tell you that Tony does not have the ability to create this. He might be able to create the label, but he does not have the ability to print it up, put it on a bottle, and then remember to ship anything out.
I don't know, man. I've seen Tony do some amazing things.
Oh, he does. But Tony is still worried that Mezco may fuck up his Conan, and I have to keep telling him, you ordered it from BBTS. So you don't have to worry about what Mezco does.
Yeah.
But anyway, Plastic Skull, says, I was told they quit making the formula that you are talking about.
Yeah.
Well, I think we all assumed that. We all figured that that's exactly what they did.
We're just trying to find some place that still has it sitting on a shelf somewhere that hasn't sold or been recalled. You know, that magic. It's like what's the zombie movie with Woody Harrelson where he's looking for the Twinkies? You know what I'm talking about?
I do, and I can't think of the name.
Zombieland, yeah. Where he's just like he's spending the whole movie looking for like the last Twinkies on Earth. That's gonna be me with this stuff. There's gonna be a whole apocalypse. The world's gonna be ending, and I'm still gonna be looking around for this Windsor Newton Restore Cleaner.
It's the one cure to the zombie apocalypse.
There you go.
The Restore.
Is the Restore Cleaner from Windsor Newton.
And all this does is speed them up.
Yeah, it does.
It speeds them up, so it makes it harder to get away from them. This is the only thing that can save them. And Tony's the only one in like the 10-mile radius because he has little droplets that he has in Arizona to keep the zombies from coming.
Only safe place will be at Tony's house.
Him and Cage's Customs and all his weapons that he has. So he has an arsenal.
Oh,
so
that would help.
Yeah. They just sprinkle a little of the Windsor and Newton Restore on bullets, and it solves the zombie apocalypse. Sounds like we have a making of a movie, a real B tier movie. All right, so I didn't expect to get off track this quickly.
Hey, welcome to having me as a guest. It's gonna be. Yeah, my brain is pew, pew, pew. Rabbit, ice cream truck, you know.
Ooh, ice cream truck, good. All right, so do you mind me asking how old you are?
48.
48. So you're in our bracket of the age. I'll be 50 at the end of the year, so I feel like we're all gonna have a similar story. So, growing up, what was your family dynamic like? Were your parents together? Did you have siblings?
So my dad left me and my mom when I was 2, and then my stepdad came in the picture. Was born in Ohio. Shortly after my stepdad came in the picture, we moved to Missouri, and then spent most of my life here. Started out in Kansas City, and then to St. Louis. And yeah, had a pretty healthy family dynamic growing up. It was in the household. It was me, my mom, my stepdad, and my half sister. And then occasionally I had a step brother that kind of sometimes he lived with his mom, sometimes he lived with us. He was kind of back and forth. So
the moral of the story is, as awful as it is that your dad left, the fact that your dad left, you were able to get out of Ohio.
That's true. Yeah, that was the catalyst for me.
There was a plus that came to that.
Yeah. Yeah. I've told people like I didn't have a choice on where I was born, but as soon as I was able to talk, I was like, Mom, let's get the hell out of here. Like this is
I'm sorry. Like I say, people don't move to Ohio, they end up in Ohio. So how much younger is your sister?
She is 3 years younger than me.
And then your stepbrother, is he?
He's a year older than me.
So when he was there, did you you kind of have like a built-in play friend, or even when you're
kind of? Sometimes he was cool, sometimes he was a jerk. So just kind of depended on what his mood was at the time. So
I mean that's one of those things when they kind of bounce back and forth. And
yeah, like when it was just me and him, totally cool. When other people were around, then he had to, kind of act tougher and this and that, and then yeah.
Yeah, suck it, Ohio. I'm with you.
I've lived in Iowa and Ohio, and man, that's rough. They're both pretty bad. So I don't know. I haven't lived in Indiana, but I've been through Indiana a few times. I would say Indiana is definitely both better than the two of those. But man, that's a toss up, Iowa or Ohio.
Well, Iowa does have Conam, Iowa. There's Joe fans, which I'm going to. Oddly enough, I'm going there in November, and then I'm going to Ohio for training for a whole week.
Oh, nice.
No, not really. No, not really. But I'll be there for a week, unfortunately. But it is in Canton, so I will probably head out to the NFL Hall of Fame because I have nothing else to do.
Yeah, may as well. I mean, there's not much to do in Ohio, but if you can stop in and see that, I
mean, it's in North Canton, so it's like 15 minutes away.
Yeah.
So it's like, what else? You might as well just do a couple of the things that is, that especially if it's right there in Ohio. Now, as a kid growing up, what are the first toys you remember playing with? Not like the first things you fell in love with, but I know for I feel like a lot of people our age, it's adventure people, Hot Wheels. Do you remember like the first things that you played with?
I think the first things that I remember playing with were the Mego Pocket Heroes. I don't know if you remember those. They're smaller action figures, and like there was a Batman, there was like a Bat Cave and a little Batmobile, and they had like the little rubbery heads that had a cape on it that the whole head and cape popped off.
Yep.
And like all the kids would chew on them. So if you find one now, like all the capes and like all the ears are gone off the Batman and all the capes have chew marks in them. So
like kids chew on stuff.
Yeah, for sure. That's why none of most of the Masters of the Universe figures are missing their fingers. So
I can tell you I have a lot of there's not a lot, but there are specific G.I. Joe guns that you could see where I was chewing on them. Usually on the barrels or on the magazines. I don't know why. They made that squish.
Yeah.
Just flatten.
The satisfying squish.
So as you started to get older and actually start playing with toys, what was the first toy that you fell in love with? Like, was there a specific brand that?
I mean, I was big into He-Man, but like my number one, like early on that I remember that I was super attached to was I had a Pegasus and Perseus from Clash of the Titans that came together, and I would just have I love that movie. Like me and my mom must have watched that 500 times, and so I would just fly the little Pegasus around, which had no articulation whatsoever, zero articulation. It just had like these bendy wings that kind of flopped down, and then would put Perseus on the back of him, and I just thought it was cool because in the movie he's got like these very special weapons that are kind of gifted to him from the gods. Yep. And it's like, now you get to hold he had the shield and he had the sword. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
I don't think anyone's mentioned that yet. So
that was my big one, but then it, obviously went into like Masters of the Universe and a bunch of different stuff, but that was the first one that I was like, I took that thing everywhere.
So is it safe to say that even from childhood, because I know you're big into Mythic Legions now, it was fantasy kind of your thing? Because you talked about He-Man.
Yeah. So, I mean, I was really close to my mom growing up, even though I had an amazing stepdad, like couldn't ask for a better stepdad, but just, he was traveling a lot. He did sales and there was always this kind of like, because him and my mom had a kid together, which was my sister, like I always felt like she was kind of like the golden child, like she could do no wrong. And I kind of had to fight for that attention a little bit more.
She was.
But me and my mom had this sword and sandals connection to where we would watch Clash of the Titans and the Conan movies and Red Sonja. And like, I got a lot of my musical taste from her, and I got a lot of my movie and the different genres that I liked from her. So yeah, that's kind of where that came from.
Now, did you find was that before that your stepdad came into the picture, or was that even after it? Was she?
Well, he came in the picture before I turned 3. So
okay.
I don't remember the situation before that, but it was just one of those things growing up where I always felt like I had to fight for his attention, but me and my mom were like thick as thieves. So awesome. I think she saw that, I needed some more attention, and so I got it from her. So
no, that's great. Now, I mean, it's awesome to hear that, because there's so many people that don't have that type of connection with their parents, even that they have parents that have been around.
Mm-hmm.
I know with, like, for me, like my dad, we didn't have a huge connection, but he's always been there for me.
Yeah.
Where, like some people, like their dad, like their parents are just there. It's like, yeah, I grew up with my parents, but they never did anything for me, and I got nothing from them.
Yeah, it was not like that at all with my mom. Like she was awesome. Like, so she would do things like, we would have, Christmas lists and birthday lists of things that we want. And she would go out of her way to try to make sure that we got those things if we could. And then when we couldn't, she would try to create those things. Like she built a Jabba's palace out of like construction paper and cardboard, like just made an entire diorama for us to play as like the whole Return of the Jedi, like throne room scene and stuff. Like just stuff like that. We would lose our lightsabers and she would make us new ones. Her and my dad worked at a plastics company, and she would just come home and go, I was able to take some of this, glow in the dark plastic home that they were just going to throw away, and she would melt it down and make lightsabers for us, and just different stuff like that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Quickly, Machine Man asks, and he says if it's too sensitive, it's okay. He says, how old were you when they told you that he was your stepdad?
I as long as I could remember, I knew that he was my stepdad. They never, because even though my biological father wasn't really in the picture, I always knew of him. So it wasn't like it was anything that was hidden.
No, and that's cool. And again, I think for a lot of people, like, again, my ex, I met her and she had a 5-year-old daughter,
mm-hmm.
and I raised her. She never knew her dad.
Mm-hmm.
I raised her since, her entire life.
Mm-hmm.
And when my ex and I split up, she really sided with her mom, and understandable, even though I was the one that raised her. And again, we're talking 12 years. I mean, we had 2 kids together, and I always said, hey, when she's ready, and if she's never ready, she's never ready. But if she's ready, and as my ex and I started to get along, and then my kids, she came around, and she realized, hey, you know what? You're my dad.
Yeah.
You're my dad, no matter what. And I told her, I said, I always said, like, when you're ready, you don't need to apologize. You're a kid. You were graduated, but you're still a kid, and we have.
I think that's a very natural thing. Like, I know growing up, I didn't appreciate my stepdad as much as I should have, and so like my biological father would do these things like once in a great moon, like maybe every 3-4 years. So like I never got a Christmas gift from him, never got a birthday gift from him. And then he would do like one kind of grand gesture. He would like buy me a bike or something. And I would just brag about that bike. It was like the best thing in the world, because it, as a kid, you're like, this is, I didn't think my dad loved me, but look, he got me a bike. Right. And here I am, like, just bragging about it in front of my stepdad, who's paying for all of my bills and taking care of me and doing all these things. And I think as kids grow up, they realize who's actually there for them, and who, is there in the, when you skin your knees and, you have a tough time at school, or, whatever the situation is. And you finally kind of grow up to that. And I had to deal with that. I went through a divorce, and, with my, my new wife, which is not really new. I've been with her for 11 years now, but she had one of those things early on where it was like, I don't know if these kids are really appreciating me. I'm doing all these things and all they want to do is talk about their mom. And I'm like, they're going to turn around. You're going to see, they're going to know who was there for them. And as time went on, sure enough, that's exactly what happened. They realized that their biological mom didn't really want to have anything to do with them. And my wife was doing all this stuff for her. So
and this sounds weird. This guy actually he's done a couple things that I quote at times. And you watch The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and when his dad comes back and he's going to take him on the road, like that, even that today, that gets me.
Yeah.
And
just wreck you, man. Yeah.
I mean, that got to me before I even met my ex, because like my mom died when I was 13. And even though my parents were together, my dad worked afternoons. My mom was the one that raised us. And to watch my dad sacrifice everything that he sacrificed, you go, how does someone do that? And then when you see the end of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and you see how he is, and he's like, I don't want to go back to being just a relative, you understand what family actually is. It's not always, just because someone gave life to you doesn't mean. I always say, dude, like, our kids don't have to forgive us, but we need to forgive our kids. Like, they didn't ask to be brought in. So if we treat them like shit, then they have every right to walk away and be like, screw you.
For sure. The other one that gets me is the end of Guardians of the Galaxy 2, like the whole Yondu thing. Dude, I'm a wreck. They start playing that music. They have the funeral and stuff. They start having I'm like done. So yeah. I'm not too macho to admit, man, that makes me cry every single time. You could just play that song now and I'm gone. So yeah.
I wish I had it.
Little Cat Stevens does it every time. So.
All right. So you said you were big into He-Man. Was there other things that you were into?
He-Man. I didn't do really like Thundercats. Wasn't a huge Transformers or Joe guy. Silverhawks. I loved Silverhawks. Battle Beast. I was huge into Battle Beast.
Okay.
And then the last, Superpowers. Superpowers is my absolute jam. Like if I could go back and collect one toy line from the past, 100% Superpowers.
Even over He-Man.
Oh yeah, 100%. Loved them so much. And then the last toy line that I collected was the Star Trek Next Generation. That was my final one. With kind of a tragic ending, and then I was off toys for about 20 years.
Now, do you mean are you talking about the Playmate stuff?
I think it was, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
The ones they kind of brought back, but they were still a little bit too tall. Yeah.
Yep.
I like what nacelle. I like what I see in the nacelle stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I understand they're what 1/10 scale.
Oh, a little bit tall.
Yeah, which I don't understand why. But I would never play with Star Trek with anything else anyway. But I'm looking at some of them like, I want these, and I don't. Star Trek is like the perfect diorama.
Yep, and that's kind of where I was towards that, late teen years, where I was like, I wasn't having adventures with my toys anymore, but I was just setting them up in scenes and kind of like as a display and looking at it. So let's just talk about that. When you start getting into middle school, are you playing with toys, or are you doing it on the side but not letting anyone know? Like I had no problem with people knowing about me being into toys until I think I got into high school. And once I got into high school, then it was kind of hush hush. It was under wraps.
Okay.
So I was still collecting all the way up until I remember getting on the job that I got, the first few paychecks, just spending it on toys and just being so excited. So when you get into high school, like you said, you were hiding it, but you were still, you said you weren't playing, but you were collecting it. Now, did you get into comic books or anything like that? Or okay. Yeah, I was into comic books. I was a big DC guy. I didn't really read Marvel. I just DC for me was just always super hopeful and upbeat. Marvel, the Spawn stuff, like it always just seemed a little too dark. Like I wanted more of kind of that happy getaway kind of thing.
Yes, Batman.
So call it naive,
Batman,
whatever, but
so happy.
Yeah. So, but yeah, so I was into comic books for sure.
All right, so you kind of like, but you said you kind of hit it,
Mm-hmm.
and I understand because, especially back in our generation, and I hate saying that our generation, like kids today, like you see all the athletes, they collect toys, and every other movie is a superhero movie. Back in our day, like seriously, I was a skateboarder, so if I bought stuff, we were already the bottom of the barrel. No big deal, right?
Yeah.
My friends weren't going to make fun of me. One of them's a nuclear engineer, teaches submariners what to do. So, he was a nerd. We're all skateboarding. The other one's a huge Star Wars fan. So, but what was the group of guys and girls you were hanging out with in high school?
So I got, one of the things growing up, like my dad, and really his whole family, my stepdad and his whole family were huge into bowling. Like that was their thing. Right.
Okay.
And I was as uncoordinated at bowling as anybody has ever been, to the point where he would say I'm all assholes and elbows out there. It's just like that, so, I just really focused on trying to get better at bowling so that I could fit in with my dad, fit in with my brother, fit in with that family. And, I actually got pretty decent. Like I ended up winning a junior tournament, was kind of one of the highlights of my youth, was just kind of looking back at my dad and seeing him look at me with this sense of pride that I had not felt before. So, I ended up my first real job. I worked at Taco Bell for like 3-4 months. But my first real job was working at the bowling alley, and I ended up staying there for like 8 years.
Oh, wow.
And so all of my friends pretty much were from the bowling alley, and that's what we would do. When we would go to the movies on Friday, pretty much every Friday night we would go see a movie. And then Saturday and Sunday we'd be at the bowling alley bowling. And that was kind of our thing. So
no, I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, what area is this? Because you said you had moved
St. Louis area.
St. Louis, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was kind of my friend group, was all like the bowling alley buddies. And we would do some video game stuff. Like we would have Tecmo Bowl tournaments and different things like that. But we really didn't talk at that point. Everybody else had moved on from toys, and I was still kind of collecting, but really just kind of more like setting them up on my dresser and kind of having it as a piece to admire.
Which is, again, like that's akin to what a lot of people do today is. Mm-hmm. Like someone's walking, again, this is why I say, like, someone's walking through the Target aisle and they see Cobra Commander and they're like, man, I had Cobra Commander as a kid. It was my favorite figure. He's going to buy it and it's going to be sitting on his desk. It doesn't mean he's a G.I. Joe fan. He's just like, oh, I love G.I. Joe as a kid and I don't collect it. But, hey, I found this guy and, oh, you know what? I love Duke too. And he has them sitting there and they, we're like, hey, look, there's Cobra Troopers. I need 4 of them.
Yeah. Yeah. You gotta do the army building.
So it sounds like you got into bowling.
Mm-hmm.
Now, did you ever you said you wanted like a junior tournament. Did you get better at bowling?
Oh yeah. I mean, I think at one point, like my best
was asking how many 300s have you rolled?
0, but I did have a 290. So that was the closest I came. I had ended up leaving in a 10 pin in the first inning and then got the spare and then struck out the rest. So that was the closest I ever got. But I think my average at my best was about like 212. So
okay.
So not too bad.
Did any of your friends go on to rig the tournaments?
No.
I got a buddy that I used to play fantasy football with, and he said him and his 3 of his buddies, they did specific tournaments, and they said we jaked it, and then when we got into the big ones, We went on. He goes, I took 3 months off of work one summer. We all made. He said we walked home with $38,000 each.
Oh wow!
And it sounds like they weren't the only people that had done it. And I'm like, how? And he's like you work your way up these tournaments, so you're lower level. And then when it comes out how good you really
you set your average low, and then you're it's called sandbagging.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But I was just like, what? And he was telling us the whole thing. I'm like, that's crazy. I mean, but these people that are like, and people are like when they're into bowling, like they, we used to,
I mean, it's like anything else. Like if you're really serious and that's your life, like, yeah, you can get pretty good at it, but you got to spend a lot of time doing it.
Pool's the same way, but pool, like, I think pool should be easier if someone shows you. Like my buddy that I skate with, he got into pool, and he's like, he goes, in 5 minutes I could make you 10 times better at pool just by showing you certain angles. Like, he's not saying I can make you good. He's just saying like there's stuff you don't realize, and just these specific angles and where you hit things, and you get to know it over time. But he's also like a math guy too, so he could.
A little nerd. Got a little nerd in him.
Oh, a little. That's being nice. So, as you graduated high school, did you just stay in the workforce? Did you go to college?
No, I went to college. I went to University of Missouri, St. Louis out here. And that once again, it was one of those things where nobody in my family had ever graduated college. And so, I wanted to impress my dad. So, even when times got tough, I stayed in. So yeah, it was a rough set of college years because, about midway through, I decided I had proposed to my girlfriend at the time. We were going to get married, and my parents said, you need to wait till after you graduate college. Otherwise we're not going to pay for the rest of your college. And I was like, you can't control me and tell me what to do and blah, blah, blah. And now I realized they were trying to, they knew once you're trying to like do that on your own and you're paying bills, you're doing all this other stuff, it's hard to finish school because you're focused on life. Like you got life hitting you in the face, right, left and center. But at the time I just was like, oh, well, they're trying to control me. So I was like, whatever, I don't need your money. I don't need you to pay for college. I'll pay for my own college. And so I was working 2 full-time jobs and a part-time job, and going to school. And so I was like, all my classes were Tuesday, Thursday. So I went in early in the morning all the way through night classes. And then the rest of the week, I'm just like working nonstop. And so I was tired as all get out. It was rough a few years there, but made it through, paid for everything, and kind of went from there.
No, and that's why I don't think every kid needs to go to college, but I do think you need to have some sort of idea. And that's why I'm not a fan of the gap year, because if you take a gap year and you just work, you work for a year, you're going to have money and you're probably living at home. And then you're going to think, you know what? I don't need the job. I don't need to go to school.
one semester. I took one semester, like 2 years through college. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to take a semester off and just evaluate, like, do I still need to do this? And I remember about halfway through that semester, I was like, I do not want to live like this for the rest of my life, just scratching to get by. Like, this is not fun. So, next semester I buckled down, went back, took extra classes, even took some summer classes. And I got it knocked out. So,
yeah. And I didn't go to, I went to college for a little bit. It's community. I never made it. I never graduated. I fell into a job, but I also have I've always had a good work ethic. Like that's always been, and I fell into the job that I have, that I've been there for 24 years.
I mean, there's as long as you have a path and you work hard, there's, trade schools are great. I mean, heck, you can go, like there's jobs that people really just don't want to do. Like you go be a garbage man and make a really good freaking living being a garbage man. You go to a trade school and learn how to be a plumber and make some really great fucking money just being a plumber. So,
well, you make great money. No,
so as long as you have like a path and you work hard, I think you're good.
and again, like a lot of times college is like you don't know what you want to do, and that's understandable. And even if you go to trade school, you don't know. But as long as you're like, hey, this is what I want to do, and this is what I'm trying to explain to my son who graduated and isn't really doing anything right now. And it's like, dude, you have to figure out what you like. You have to have some sort of path. Like you're not going to college, and that's fine, but you got to figure out like, is it a trade? Like I fix copy machines. Nobody. It's like Ohio. Nobody sets out to be a repair technician for copiers. You fall into it. You just like one day you're like, oh my God, I've been here 20 fucking years.
Well, and those are the best kind of jobs, like, because nobody knows exactly what you do, right? Like they're like, I don't know what it takes, but we know that we couldn't get by without this person, right? And that's like one of the best jobs to have. So
you're so damn
it's like they can't even replace you because they don't even know what they would have to show people.
And my ex used to be like, you should shop yourself around, or you should apply other places. Maybe you can make more money. I'm like, I'm never going to make more money because this is a small company. I can call the owner right now. Or back then it was the owners, right? And I'm like, I'm more valuable to this company because they know my worth. They know when someone else has fucked something up, or there's an angry customer, they can send me in and I can smooth them over. I go to another company, I'm just some other guy that they just, that they just brought over. And it takes you those years to grow to where they have that
sweat equity.
Yeah. And I'm like, and so here it is. Like, again, I can bitch about my job all I want, and a lot of us do, but my boss and the delivery guy have both been there longer than I have. So you don't go to the same job for 24 years unless it's like a union job, like in the assembly line, and truly hate it. you know?
I mean, I'm lucky enough that I fell into a role that I love doing, to where I don't know that I ever see myself retiring. Like, I just love what I do. So,
and again, and we'll get into that. We'll get into that. But again, there's a lot of people that are like that. Like the owner of our company, dude, the guy loves to sell copy machines. And as he gets older, he'll just pass it on to people he'll pass it on to other salesmen, and he'll deal with the clients that he wants. We had this guy that was like he was a client of ours. He was in his 90s. And I'm like, why is he still working? And the girls there were like, he just takes on clients that he wants.
Yeah.
He's a financial planner. I don't know what you're planning for in 90, but he works out like 3 times a week. They're like, his personal trainer's like, you have a body of a 60-year-old, which again, if you tell me I have a body of a 60-year-old at 49, I'm going to be like, fuck you. But at 90, I'm going to be like, hell yeah. It's like, that's what I say about Ric Flair. I don't know if you ever watch wrestling. Ric Flair.
Oh, totally.
Back in the 80s, I went, oh my God, dude, look at his body, dude. He has the body of like a 50-year-old. But since his body never changed as he got older, you're like, hey, if I still look that good when I'm 70, problem is he looked like that when he was 20.
Yeah.
So, all right. So do you mind me what did you go to school for?
I went to school for management, business management, and that really wasn't initially. I was going for accounting because I loved math growing up. Like, I was just a huge math nerd. And I got all the way to like, it was calculus 3 with analytic geometry. And I'm like, I will never use this stuff. And it was like, I remember I was in one class and they wanted me to do like a 10-page essay about math. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing that. Like, I'm just like, I'll switch majors, because that doesn't sound fun at all. And while I was working, it kind of fell into it that while I was working, one of the jobs that I was at Best Buy, just through, kind of working hard and my own work ethic and stuff. Like, I started moving up through Best Buy and found out that I was really good at like problem solving and management stuff and organizing team members to, accomplish goals and things like that. And so just kind of worked my way through management there. And then after a few years, I ended up moving into the distribution side. So away from retail and into the like distribution centers. And then I think it was about 4 years ago, I'm now working at Coca-Cola. and I took this role. It's a business process lead. Really, it's like a couple different things. One is like if there's any new systems and stuff, I try to help like organize any kind of new driving change across the organization. But then also like I'll go and just visit a location, see how their operation is running, and give them pointers on how it could be run more efficient. So it's almost like a consulting role, but within the company that I work for.
Okay.
And it's just a ton of fun. Like I love just going in there and identifying not problems to where like you can walk into any business and just say like, here's a bunch of problems, just shit all over them. But like to actually come up with solutions and come up with like, hey, here's an idea on how I think you get better in this area and this area. And it really wouldn't take much work. And, sometimes, you may give them 5 things. They may blow off 2 of them, but then 2 are okay. And then 1 is like genius. And they're like, yeah, that's absolutely, I'm doing that.
So you mean like the guys in the community that like, these Jedi classified should be no more than $5. And you're like, have you looked at like all the people that need to be paid, including the store selling it to you?
Yeah, there's a lot of things that aren't as simple as what you would think they are when you get into the nitty gritty. Yeah.
And because you think that but no, that's interesting. Like you said, you can go in anywhere and start pointing out things, but maybe there's a reason why it's done that way.
Yeah. I used to tell when
I
don't have team members that work for me directly right now because I'm working with like 18 distribution centers. But when I did have team members that worked for me, I always would tell them, I'm here for solutions, not problems. So if you got a solution, you're doing the job every day, like you're in the thick of it, bring me those solutions and let's go ahead and try them. But if you're just going to complain, you just got problems, I'm not here for problems. I ain't got time for that shit. So.
Those people don't buy their own groceries. The fact that people complain, in all honesty, they complain that a G.I. Joe figure is $25 or maybe even going up now. And I'm like, do you see how much you just spent on your pop or your eggs? Like, I this is a luxury, right? We all agree. Toys are luxuries, right? You don't,
for sure. It's funny because my wife is just like really, like she feels bad when she spends any money at all. So like she just got new glasses, which she hadn't got a new pair of glasses in like 2-3 years. And she's like, oh, it costs so much money. I was like, do you realize how much money I blow on toys? Like this is nothing. Like and it's to help you see. Like I'm buying stuff that's just going into a glass case and you're buying something to help you see. Like that's theory, good money spent.
The stuff you're putting in, but the stuff you're putting in those cabinets is so you can see. So technically it's the same thing.
There you go.
So you said that you were engaged to somebody and you said you ended up getting married. Do you mind me asking how that went? I mean, you said you had
my first children? Marriage was not, we ended up having 4 kids, and it was not a good foundation for a marriage. Like we got together because we were both sarcastic assholes, and that is fun when you're able to like just look at other people and make fun of them and be sarcastic and laugh together. But when times get tough, that's a hard thing to fall back on. Like that doesn't help you get through the tough times. And just as time went on, we just kind of grew apart, and there were some other issues and stuff that came about. And, but my second marriage, the one that I'm on now, it's really based on our love of God. It's based on the thought process that I'm always going to put her first and she's always going to put me first. And so, regardless of whether things are going great or things are going poor, like we're always there supporting each other. And that's a much better foundation than, just making fun of other people and being sarcastic. So.
Well, let's not get crazy. All right. Yeah. Ed, he's not talking to us. All right. Ed, he's not talking to us.
Yeah. Oh, don't get me wrong. I can still be an asshole with the best of them, but
you say your foundation is with God. So I'm just going to assume that you won't be seeing Ed and I anytime soon in the afterlife. All the cool people, just no offense, Curtis, we're all going to be downstairs.
Gotcha.
We'll wave to you.
That'll work.
So do you mind me asking how long ago? Well, you said you've been married for 11 years.
Mm-hmm.
So how long ago did you get divorced before you met your?
So I already knew my current wife before I got divorced, but we were just friends online. But I would say from the time it was about a year from me getting divorced from my first marriage and then married, separated for a little longer than that. But I was playing World of Warcraft. I played World of Warcraft for many, many years. And I actually was running a guild on there, and we would do like raids on Friday and Saturday nights. And a couple of the people that were in my guild that would raid with me
I got something really quick.
Yeah.
I call people a nerd like in life, and they'll look at me and they're like, you collect toys. I'm like, you don't see the irony in what I just said to you?
Yeah, we all have our nerddom. It's just, is your nerddom better than my nerddom, I guess. But yeah, so I'm sitting there raiding on Fridays and Saturdays, and two of the folks that were raiding with me, they were like, man, you should meet our mom. She's awesome. And I'm like, okay. So, and she was playing World of Warcraft too. And we met, and we had a good friendship, and we were all in a guild together and stuff. And then after, like, I was going through my marital problems while she was going through her own marital problems, and we both ended up getting separated and divorced and stuff. And we were like, just kind of talking each other through, the situation afterwards. And we're like, man, you should come out and visit, because she lived in California. I lived out. Well, at the time I was living in Illinois. I was like, you should come out and visit. I'll pay for a plane ticket. Come out. Let's just kind of spend a week together and just hang out and stuff. And man, we just hit it off like gangbusters. And that was it, man. I mean, after a couple visits, her coming out from California, we decided like this is it. We want to make a go at this. So, yeah, rest is history.
You said she has her own kids, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
How many kids?
Hers are a little older than what mine were.
Okay.
So like right now, my stepson is like 30, was he 34? Like 33, 34. He's training to be a neurosurgeon. So he's in his last year of school, and then he starts his residency next year. And then our daughter's in her mid-20s. So yeah.
So when she decided to move, I assume she decided to move out with you.
Yeah.
Did either one of the kids move?
No, they had the option of it, but they were both kind of getting ready to start college. And
they decided they were at that age where
they had gotten my stepson and stepdaughter, and then two other guys that were in our guild in World of Warcraft, where they were all going to go to the same school, and so they decided to like rent a house together. And so they kind of had this place, and they were going to go to school and do this whole thing. So it was kind of the college stuff. So,
okay. And then do you mind me asking what the age range of your kids are?
So my youngest are 19, I believe. So the girl's 19. They're twins. And then my son
are you asking your wife?
I'm asking Darla.
Your kids are.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't keep track of this shit. And then my son is 22, and I want to say my other daughter is 23, maybe 24. I don't know. They're up there. They're old enough that I've kicked all but one of them out of the house. So
wait. Say that over. You have
6 total.
Yeah, but wait a minute. Your kids are
2 that are 19.
Wait, 2 twin girls?
Yep. 19.
And okay, 19. And then you said a 23-year-old girl?
22-year-old son, and then 23 or 24-year-old girl. Yeah.
Okay, you did say a son. I was gonna say, don't tell me you were living with all women, because
No.
Okay, I was about to really say you are.
Yeah, but all but one of them is out of the house now. Our son, he still lives with us. He'll probably be with us forever. He has he's on the spectrum, and he's got a job at McDonald's, but he's never really going to be able to kind of just do his own thing. So he'll probably be with us, for our lives. But all the other kids are out of the house, and I've gotten room back to expand my collection and my customizing and everything else. So now they just visit. which is nice.
And you're like, you can never move back in because,
yeah.
Well,
I told them that they had one opportunity to move back in, but as soon as they were out the door, I took over their room. So I'm like, I don't know where you're going to sleep, but you can come back. You just don't have anywhere to stay. So
there's always a couch there.
yeah.
All right. So after you graduated, did you ever really stop collecting? And what were you collecting? Like,
I stopped collecting when I was in high school. I had a pretty traumatic experience where, I was in that time period where I wasn't really telling people that I was still collecting toys. The last line that I was in was Star Trek Next Generation.
Yep.
And after being away for a couple of years, my brother had come back to live with us. And so he was in school, the same school as I was. I think I was a junior and he was a senior. Maybe sophomore and junior, but whatever. We're 1 year apart. And we would see each other at recess. Our recesses lined up to where we had recess at the same time, which not really recess, sorry, PE. We had PE at the same time. And so one time at PE, like he's trying to make friends. He's just, he's coming in on like his senior year and he doesn't know anybody. And so decides he's going to make fun of me and that's how he's going to make friends. And so he's poking fun of me and telling people that I still collect toys. And I'm obviously denying it because I'm like, I don't collect toys. I don't know what the hell he's talking about. Right. And so then the next day, same thing. We're in PE and he's making fun of me saying that I collect toys. And I'm like, I don't collect toys. And then he pulls out this Jean-Luc Picard from my dresser that was like a rare figure at the time. Like they were two looks for him. There was one that kind of was like the closed look, and then the other one that had like the open vest or whatever. And so that was a little bit more rare, harder to find. And he pulls it out of his pocket and he's like, this is his toy. I picked it up off his dresser. I stay the part and I'm like, that's not mine. I've never seen that before in my life. And he throws it on the ground and just stomps the ever-loving shit out of it, just breaks it into a...
It wasn't one of the 1701 series, was it?
It was whatever was in the Playmates, whatever.
Well, they had the 1701. I don't think there was only 1,701 made.
Oh, I don't know.
That's what you
I
would
know it was a
like,
rare one that was like impossible to find to where I had to... I had actually pay extra money to get it because you just couldn't find them in stores. And so, yeah, he smashed it to oblivion. And I went home, packed up all my shit. And that was the last time I collected toys for about 20 years. So
did you collect anything else? Like, were you, because this was, you're looking at 95, I'm guessing, right?
Let's see. Yeah, that would be about then. Yep.
You graduated in 96?
Yep.
So
yep.
I'm doing math.
It was like 94, 95. Yep.
All right. So you were out of it until to the mid 2015, 20.
Yeah, probably like, yeah, about 2015. So.
Okay, so Andrew Gogan is saying one of the 1701 series was a tapestry. Okay, because there was so quick. The 1701, there was a Tasha Yar that was 1701. Mm-hmm. Then there was Picard, and then there was supposed to be a Barkley that was also 1701, but people threw a fit, so they made 3,000 of them. I found at the exact same Toys R Us on the same day two Barkleys. And then the next week, someone else found another one. And one of them was actually under the 1701. Those are probably the only two figures when I had to sell everything off as a young adult that actually made me money. I can tell you none of the Power of the Force stuff that I sold made any money.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
Now, one of them made me any money.
Like looking back on it, like I missed out on like the MYP series, never even knew it existed. I missed out on Motu Classics until the very end of the line, like when Super 7 was doing it. So I missed out on some stuff that I would have absolutely loved, but it was in that age where it was like, it's not cool to collect toys. Right. Like, and then, what ended up getting me back into it, if I can fast forward a little bit, I ended up picking up some vintage He-Man at like a flea market. And I was like, I'm going to pick these up. Like they were all beat up and stuff. I'm like, I'm going to, like restore them because they were just really terrible. Like paint apps were gone and stuff. I'm like, I'm just going to like paint some of these up and restore them and it'll be fun. They were like $5 a piece. And I had bought from this guy a couple times at a flea market. And he's like, you should get on the Facebook groups for this stuff. And I was like, I have no idea what the hell you're talking about. And he's like, pretty much all of these toy lines and stuff that we grew up as kids, there's Facebook groups for this stuff. And there's podcasts to listen to, people talk about this stuff. And, and I was like astounded. And so, I found a couple different Facebook groups, found some podcasts and then I was in, so I was back.
So during this time, are you collecting do you collect anything else? Because I feel like
nothing.
See, that's crazy because
I was playing World of Warcraft like nobody's business. That was my obsession.
So, but I'm assuming you spent a lot of time doing that.
Oh yeah,
and I've never done it, but I have heard about the people that do World of Warcraft, and it kind of reminds me of like what Dungeons and Dragons were.
Yeah, it was pretty much every waking moment that I wasn't at work. I was doing that. So,
and see, that's odd because I feel like, especially because I can see everything in the back and I know how much you collect. I feel like when you're a collector, you're always going to be collecting something.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've told this numerous times about everyone's going to roll their eyes. I used to take everyone's old skateboard and hang it on my wall.
Mm-hmm.
And again, old skateboard, not like new skateboards. And I was collecting them. I didn't really realize that's what I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And, even I collected CDs and DVDs. I feel like most collectors, they're always collecting something. Sometimes they don't realize it.
Yeah, I did get back into comic books. And so I did have some of those. And like the thing that really hit me hard with that, the thing that got me into it and out of it was
Image Comics.
All the variant covers. Like pretty much everything that you would get into would have 15 variant covers. And it was like, it was cool because like, man, look at this one. Oh, look at that one and stuff. But then it's like, I'm not actually reading these because they're all the same comic and they're costing me a lot of money and it's taking up a lot of space. And, it just got to be too much. And I was like, okay, I'm done with that.
Image did that because I saw that Spawn #1 and it shot up in price. And then Image was just pushing out #1 and #0s. And I was buying them all. And I have so many Image 0s and 1s. And then you find out when I went to sell my comics in the past couple years, they're not worth the paper they're printed on because they made so many of them. Yet I'm just like Power of the Force. Oh man, these are going to be worth so much money. They're not.
No, you hear those folks where they're like, this is my kid's college fund or whatever. No, it's not. This is my retirement. No, it's not. It's not that either.
Just go put it in crypto. Just put it in crypto and let it. That's what I did. Just put it in crypto. If you're buying toys as your retirement, then just put it in crypto. Just at least you have a chance that it may shoot up. All right. So okay, that's interesting. So after you meet, you go through your divorce. You have 4 kids. I assume you had full custody of them.
I did not initially, but within about after my divorce, I would say about 7-8 months later, I got full custody.
Okay, so that's not much time before you have.
Yeah, there was an incident. So,
and all I can say is, it takes a lot, especially for. Now it's a little bit different, but it takes a lot for the courts to say to the man, you have full custody.
Well, and it wasn't even the courts didn't even make that decision. I'll just throw it out there. Like my ex got really hooked on painkillers, and it was one of those things where while we were still together, I was trying to help her get through it, and she was just doing things like calling in prescriptions for me, like saying that I had hurt my back and having them fill prescriptions for me. She was at one point, she had called a pharmacy and pretended to be from the doctor's office, like be a nurse, and got them to actually fill a prescription with her pretending to be a nurse from the doctor's office. Just things like that. So I was, I had checked her into rehab and I was trying to help her get through it. And like, she just resented me for not allowing her to continue to just do that stuff. So, anyway, we separated, we did our own thing. Well, I think maybe like 4 or 5 months after separating, she ends up telling me she got a job at a pharmacy. I'm like, that is the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. Like, you are a recovering drug addict. Like, you cannot work at a pharmacy. Like, that is dumb. And it was maybe 2-3 months into it, I get a call. She's been arrested, and she's like, hey, like, they got me stealing pain pills, and nobody's home watching the kids. I came in for extra hours and they're home by themselves. And so I had to go get them. And then, Child Protective Services came and had to interview them. And that was fucking terrifying. Cause like, you have to be in a different room and they have to interview them separately, and they've got to determine whether they're going to take your kids or not. So it was just, terrifying. And so once she got out and she was not able to see them for a little bit due to, that situation. And she had her own stuff that she was dealing with. And I was like, listen, like, you got your own stuff. Kids are clearly better with me right now. Like, I can provide what they need. I tell you what, I was like, I will give you $1,000 cash and I will pay for the attorney to write up the papers, and we just sign them and then we're done and we're divorced. And she's like, sounds good. So basically got my kids for $1,000. So
now, what you said about the whole interview, my son burnt his hand on the stove. I was on my way home from work, and my ex was actually in the bathroom. The stove was on, and he lifted up his foot and he leaned and just literally touched it. So we had to take him. They sent him down to the children's hospital. He stayed the night, and when we went back, I was upstairs with my daughter, like in a playroom. And when I came down, they had already pulled her out and talked to my ex. And the lady comes up and says, hey, can we talk? And I'm like, yeah, sure. And she's like, in another room. And I was like, I already knew what it was, because my ex-girlfriend who had a kid, she said when her daughter fell out of the bed and broke her arm, they did the same thing because they wanted to make sure. And again, like, it's awful to think that like people would grab their kid's hand and say, this is hot, and they'd burn their, and again, I was understanding, but I understood what they were doing, but it is kind of like, you got to be kidding me. Some of the stuff they said was awful. Like, well, make sure you put the candles in a locked area. Like, he didn't burn on a candle. He touched the stove by mistake.
I mean, it started out where, like, for this one, like, they were called because they were left alone while she went to work. But then, now she's not able to see them. She's locked up and stuff. And they had to determine if they felt safe with me. And, you're just sitting there like, man, I hope they, like, because all it takes is them saying one silly thing or one thing out of, and heck, my son, like, with being on the spectrum and stuff, like, you never know what's going to come out of that kid's mouth. And I'm like, I'm just sitting there praying, like, please don't say anything that, whatever.
And kids don't get it. Like, these days, kids don't get it. They go to school and they say something, they're being funny or they're mad about something. And next thing you know, the teachers have to contact, and they should, because there are a lot of shitbag parents. And it's awful. I mean, it's absolutely awful. But at the same time, it's like some people aren't understanding about that. And but I can only imagine as you're sitting there, like, dude,
it's terrifying.
I just want my kids, and I don't want them to end up somewhere else. And then I have to show you that I'm a good parent.
Well, and here I am, like, it's 4 kids here, and I had only gotten a 2-bedroom apartment because I was on my own. I was still supporting my ex and all the kids and stuff. Didn't have any intention of them living with it because there's no way I'm going to get custody, right? And so now, I'm sitting here like they're being interviewed in the other room, and I'm also like, I've got a 2-bedroom apartment, and they got to go to school and all this kind of, like, how am I going to do this by myself? Like, it was, it was something.
Stressful.
Yeah.
Did you take your blood pressure at that time?
I did not. I've always had pretty good blood pressure, so that was good. I did have some issues with I've got a panic disorder, so I was having some panic attack situations. That definitely didn't help that for sure. So
panic attacks are wonderful.
Oh man.
So exhilarating when you're done and you're like,
especially when you get your first one and you like your first big one and you think you're having a heart attack and you don't know, like you just I'm having chest pains and I can't breathe. Well, yeah, it's because you're breathing too fast and you need to slow down your breathing and you just need to calm the fuck down. But you can't just tell somebody that like that. They're not gonna, you're like, no, I'm dying. Like I'm seriously having a heart attack. No, you're not. You're just having a panic attack. So yeah.
So you're playing World of Warcraft.
Mm-hmm.
You start talking to a woman that her kids hooked you guys up through your guild.
Yeah,
seriously, like this is like the nerdiest thing I've ever talked about on the show.
Yep. Yeah, I was a Death Knight. She played a shaman, and then she also had a character that was a priest. So, yeah.
So she flies out. You said you're living in Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
Flies out there, stays with you for a little bit. You probably realized pretty quickly because at this age, I mean,
we were pretty close friends at that point. But it's one thing to be friends online; it's another thing to be able to, in person, kind of deal with each other's quirks and everything. And then there's also like having to move cross country. Like how would we make this work? And but yeah, it was pretty clear like we were meant to be together. So
okay. So you moved to Illinois. She ends up moving to Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
You're not collecting anything at this point.
Mm-mm.
You are.
Well, actually, she didn't. She moved to Illinois. It was only for like a month before we actually moved back out here to like the St. Louis area in Missouri. So she was only maybe in Illinois for like a month or two.
Okay.
But yeah, no collecting at this point. I think the first things.
Well, you have 4 kids to raise. You don't have money to be collecting.
Yeah. I got into some of the Kotobukiya statues. Those were kind of some of the first things that I got into, like the DC ones. And then they had a big Hulk and Hulkbuster Kotobukiya statue that is just like awesome. So those were some of the first things that I got into.
But that is collecting, but it's not. A lot of people collect that or statues. Yeah. Like statues is something you can easily get away with. People are like, oh, that's pretty cool. Like, you're not playing with it.
Yeah.
So, why did you move to St. Louis? Like, what prompted?
So once I got custody of the kids, I knew I was going to need some more help, and my parents still lived out here from when I was younger. And so I knew if I moved closer to them, if I needed some help with, whether it's getting them to and from appointments, or if I needed somebody to be there when they get off of school or whatever, that I would have them nearby. So just kind of wanted to get a little bit closer to my parents and just have a little help with the 4 kids.
No, and that's great because people don't have that either.
Yeah.
We've always been lucky that my ex's dad was just like everything. And he also helped raise my stepdaughter. Like he was the one that was there for the 5 years before, right? So he just kind of attached on to, our kids when we had kids. So he was always there. And my dad, God bless him, he's a wonderful guy. He's like just you have to like, Dad, I need you to come. Okay. And then he's like right there as long as he's available. Where her dad was always just like, what do you need? What do you need? I'm here. Like, like, man, that's how I want to be.
Yeah.
I need to be retired and my kids aren't old. Well, my oldest, she's old enough to have kids, but they're not ready yet. And they live in California, so they can't have them yet.
There you go.
My ex would lose her shit if Emily said, hey, Mom, I'm pregnant. She would lose it. And they weren't planning on moving back yet.
Yeah, we just got that. We've got a grandkid on the way, our first one, coming in January. So yeah.
Now is that hers or yours?
It's my stepdaughter.
Okay.
So yeah, she's out there in California. She lives in Paradise, California. And yeah, that baby should be here in January. So
well, see, now you have a reason to go to Now you have a reason to go to California in January, leaving St. Louis, which I like.
I
St.
think
Louis,
we're
but
probably going to wait until so they got married this past May. And we went out there and it just happened to line up with they did a Mythic meetup in Sacramento, which was like 30 minutes away. And it was really cool. So I think we might do that same thing where we kind of go out there in May. The baby will be like four months old at that point, and and then do the Mythic meetup and that kind of thing, kind of make a whole thing about it. So
May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. Oh, so that's perfect. So they waited.
Yeah, they found out, I think it was the week after they got married.
So they waited till they got married, is what you're saying.
Yeah. I mean, as far as I know, I know we didn't know about it till afterwards, and I think that there may have been an inkling beforehand, but there was no test done until after, and about a week or two after, they were like, "Yeah, by the way, we're pregnant." Like, okay, yeah.
And that's your first grandchild. So I don't know. I know my daughter wants to eventually. She was always the one like, I don't want to have kids. I don't want to have kids. Actually, all my kids say that. I'm like, one of you have to have fucking kids. All right. I don't care which one of it is at this point. All right. Of course, I tell my youngest who's 16. I'm like, you have to wait.
Yeah.
Well, same with my son because he lives here, so you need to wait too.
Yeah, yeah, because I'm not footing those bills.
You're already freeloading here, all right?
Yeah,
you're already a squatter. So you move out to St. Louis. Now, how old are your kids? Got to be fairly young at that point.
Yeah, at that point, man, I want to say, shoot, the twins were like 8.
Okay.
And my son would have been about 10, and my older daughter would have been about 11.
Okay, I'm just working up to. You're living in St. Louis.
Mm-hmm.
You have 4 kids from 8 to 11.
Mm-hmm.
Please tell me you've taken them to City Museum.
Oh yeah,
that is the fucking coolest goddamn place ever.
Yeah, they didn't like it very much, but I did.
Really?
Yeah, it wasn't their cup of tea. They like the zoo. They like going to the zoo.
We went to the so I was gonna go to Kokomo Toys. I'm like, hey, let's do a week. We'll go to Kokomo Toys. All right. Well, you can't spend a week in Kokomo, Indiana. Just saying that. I've never been to Kokomo Toys. That's all that's there. And it smells awful. It rained. It smelled awful. And I was looking at Chicago, and then we'd head to St. Louis for like a weekend, right?
Mm-hmm.
At the end of it. And then I'm looking at the price. I'm looking at like St. Louis, and when I start like reading the reviews, people are like, well, Chicago, there's probably more to do, but for the price that you're going to pay, it's cheaper to go to St. Louis, and here's all this stuff.
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? Let's do St. Louis. We went to St. Louis.
The Arch is fairly inexpensive. The zoo is free. I think it's the largest free zoo.
Yes, it is.
So,
and it's a wonderful. It was at the time either ranked the best or the third best zoo in the country. And we didn't even get to explore everything else that's on that property. Because that's like the largest.
They got like the science center and some other stuff there. Yeah.
So we did that. We went to the old aquarium with the big Ferris wheel and everything. They both got Build-A-Bears because it's like right on the property, so they know they're suck you into that. But we went to the City Museum. My son, he didn't really enjoy it. He wouldn't even go up on the top deck. My daughter, she's all about all that stuff. And I thought that's like the coolest place. Like, I'm looking at all these places in Detroit that have these rundown buildings, and I'm like, why has no one else done this? Like, it's genius. It's so I really, really loved St. Louis. And then we found a really good toy store there too.
Which one?
Name some.
Well, the big one around here used to be Saga Toys, but they went under. There's a little one that I like that you're probably not talking about that. It's retro TV toys.
Nope.
And then there's another
I think
one.
I went to that one
off of like Lime Ferry. I can't remember what that one's called, but that one's a lot of fun.
I'll have to send it because I follow him on Instagram. I totally forget what but it's a pretty big shop. Real nice guys too. And I like when I was in there, I talked to him, and it's nice. It's the toy store. When you talk to somebody, it kind of reminds me of when I was younger and you're at a skate shop. It's that place that you chat, that you get to know people, and you just have all these questions and you want to know about their stuff. And now it's going to drive me nuts what the hell the name of it is.
I'm looking up the one that I think it could be. So
it's fairly big too. And then we had that awful pizza that everyone said we had to have.
Oh my gosh, it's so terrible. I'm sorry that people talked you into having that.
What's it called?
Emos.
Yes.
Yeah. Terrible.
It was awful.
Terrible.
And then
Time Warp Toys.
Yes.
They are great guys.
Yeah.
It's a nice store.
Yeah. We went there. I think we went there twice because I'm like, it's big. Let's go back. Yeah. We went to like probably 4 or 5 different stores. Most of them were really small stores. That one was the one that I was like, let's go back. And I think we got something on day 1, got something on the day 2. Because also I knew I was going to Kokomo Toys. No, Emos. Thank you very much. That is awful.
No, it's like cardboard with melted plastic on top. Is what. Yeah,
and then someone said they're like, well, they use like a ravioli sauce. I'm like, well, that's not. And then someone said,
terrible sauce, and it's like what is it? Provel cheese, which is like it's like eating melted plastic, and then the crust is like cardboard. So it's like cardboard, melted plastic, and ketchup is almost what it tastes like. So
and the funny thing was after we had it, like later on, I saw there was a Jets Pizza, which Jets Pizza is out of Michigan.
Yeah,
I'm like, I need to get some good Detroit style pizza in me after eating that. Even though I'm probably going to go home and eat Jets Pizza anyway. Which I had it today. I have it all the time.
Yeah, it's pretty rough, man.
Derek says, my buddy loves emos, and I have no idea why. I don't either. And I'm so glad that you said that, because so many people that I've talked about it said it's awesome.
I mean, I know people around here that grew up with it that think it's great because that's what they grew up with. But I'm like, no. It's just not. Like, you go to the East Coast and get like some pizza from New York, New Jersey, try to compare it to this stuff. I mean, I'm not a huge Chicago style pizza fan. Like it's like eating a lasagna. It is. It's just so thick. But even that is better than St. Louis. St. Louis is the absolute worst.
And so that's why like Detroit style, it's like it's thick enough, but I don't have to eat it with a fork. That's that Chicago style pizza is good from time to time. It's like a special occasion. All right, so you moved to St. Louis, moved back to St. Louis. I really wanted to work up to the whole city museum.
Well, you got there.
It's such a blast there. My daughter, like, she's a thrill seeker, so she went on everything. Like, I got pictures of her going up onto the plane, which I'm not doing that. I know that's all welded really nice. I'm not doing that. I don't.
Yeah.
So when do you actually start collecting toys, and how do you explain this to your wife that, hey, I want to start buying toys?
So I want to say it was probably probably 2015, where our kids from California had come out to visit. It might have been 2014. They had come out to visit. And at that point, I had gone to the flea market a couple times and found some of these old He-Man figures. And I was like, hey, I picked up some paints from the comic book store, and I'm thinking about painting these up.
No, have you done any artwork before? Any art like this?
Zero, nothing. So I'm like, would you guys want to like create some of it? And I even picked up some epoxy sculpt that I had heard about, like where you kind of, whatever. And I'm like, do you guys want to create when you come out here? We can kind of sculpt some things, we can paint some things and stuff. And so we just sat around and painted and did all this. And it was just a fun time. And then after I found out about like the Facebook groups and stuff, I think it was like Motu Nation was one of the first ones that I got onto. And I, found a couple of different podcasts that I started listening to. One of them is called Podcasters of the Universe with Stephen Bisciotti and Jeremy DeWitt. They do a really good He-Man podcast, and they review toys. And, at the time there wasn't a whole lot of master stuff, really nothing coming out other than some classic stuff that was with Super 7 at that point. But at one point they were reviewing some Motu tributes from Four Horsemen. And it was the Lord Dragul, which is kind of the Hordak one, and then Darina, which is like a She-Ra tribute. And they did a live on Facebook where they were kind of showing it, and the Lord Dragul, I was like, dude, that is so cool. It's awesome. So I had messaged, one of the showrunners, Steven. I was like, dude, that figure you showed was so cool. And he goes, what's your address? And I was like, why? He's like, I'm going to send you one. I'm like, well, how much do you want for it? He goes, don't worry about it. I'm going to send you one. I'm like, okay. So I give him my address and he sends me this figure, and I open it up and I was like dumbfounded at how good this thing was. Like, you just get a Mythic Legion figure in your hand and you're like, wow, this thing is just super cool. And immediately went to Big Bad Toy Store, started buying, what they had available. And then just kind of went into this thing like head first. And so then when I started getting those, and I found out that people were actually doing customs with these, where they were painting them and mixing and matching parts and doing all this kind of stuff, I was like, oh, that's cool, because I was doing that with the vintage He-Man stuff. But these are brand new toys, and you can get some of them are called Legion Builders, where they have less paint apps, and you can get them, and then you can kind of paint some of the chainmail parts or paint some of the rivets, and you just add a little bit of details, and all of a sudden this kind of basic figure that's a little bit cheaper becomes a really cool figure. And it was just kind of took off from there. So
you basically get into Mythic Legions. Now, are you looking at other things at this time?
I was collecting at that time. I had already gotten in. I was pretty heavy into classics, and I was getting some of the older ones. And then I think Origins had just started coming out as I was getting into Mythic Legions. So I had the first 3 waves of Origins at that point. And I was keeping them in package. I was buying one to keep in package and one to open, because I just thought the packaging was so cool on the Origins.
That's only 2020, right?
This is, Okay. So that's, I've only been in the Legions for about that time, for 2020, 2021.
Okay. So you were collecting, just doing master stuff for about 5 years before that.
And really not a whole lot of that master stuff. It was just kind of little 1-offs and 2-offs. And then, did get into the classics. The classics I was collecting, but a lot of what I was collecting at the time was statues. I was doing a lot of the Kotobukiya stuff. Batman, Superman, that Hulkbuster and stuff. So it was just, wasn't huge into the action figures at that point, other than some classics. But yeah, then once I got into the Origins and then the Mythic Legions, then it was just game over. It's taken over everything. So
after you got in the Mythic Legions, and now did you kind of phase out the Motu stuff, or you
the Origins? I think about a month or two into Mythic Legions, I was like, I'm done with the Motu Origins. I sold all those off. And then we ended up moving in 2021, I believe. We moved into our new house. And so we had packed up everything for the move, came to the new house. And when we started unpacking things, I was kind of putting stuff away based on what was most important to me. And the classics never came out. They just stayed in the garage. And so after about 6 months, I was like, you know what? I still haven't gotten those out, and I don't feel like I'm missing it. I'm just going to sell it. And I just kind of sold my whole collection in one shot to Justice Curry up in Michigan.
Yep, I know Justice.
Yeah, so I just sent him 3 big massive boxes of Motu stuff. I was like, go through it, see what you got, write me a check, whatever you think's fair. And that's what happened. So then I was out of that. So,
all right. So you get into Mythics, and you've gone really. We're gonna get into this soon. Now, do you start collecting anything else, or are you just like?
Oh yeah, I've been collecting way too much shit. So, I've got quite a few Mayfex. I've got a bunch of McFarlane. I'm in the Mondo Motu. I was heavy in classifieds for a bit, and then I realized that they just didn't, for me, they didn't have the shelf presence as some of the other lines because of the 6-inch versus 7-inch scale. And I wasn't doing a bunch of the vehicles. And I know people that have the vehicles, obviously that then, has shelf presence, but the figures themselves just weren't really doing it for me. So I pared that down to like one little tiny cube in a Billy bookshelf that I've got. And, people are probably make fun of who I've got in there, but I've got Sergeant Slaughter, I've got Serpentor, Destro, and Cobra Commander. And that's it. Just got those 4. So
no, but you know what? I mean, again, like you're not.
It's like a little catered like it. So like my turtles collection, I've got the Mezco turtles and Casey Jones. That's it.
Ed, he already showed off his Valaverse collection.
I've got 2. I did get the Sergeant Slaughter too. I got the Sergeant Slaughter, and then I got Thanos Copter. So. Tiny
Slaughter, you mean?
Yeah. Yeah, before I knew that Classified was going to do one. So
no, again, you say like the shelf presence, and again, I have my whole living room is full of Classified, and there's a lot. And I'm running out of space. But again, like I also am understanding that not everyone that grew up in the 80s or grew up anytime loved G.I. Joe like I did. You have something else that, I mean, again, Mondo, I mean, hell, you want to talk shelf space.
Yeah.
That shit's huge.
Yeah. I mean, that's like, Mythic Legions, 7-inch figure. Like I'm getting old. My eyes are getting tired, and a 7-inch figure just kind of feels more massive than a 6-inch figure. And then you get to like the 12-inch ones, you get to like those Mondo ones. It's like, holy cow, like these things are just chunky boys and just so much good detail. And, even like the McFarlane stuff, I get, people give me shit about the McFarlane. I would take the McFarlane 7-inch over Marvel Legends 6-inch all day long. Give me that 7-inch. I'm even starting to think, man, that Beast Kingdom 8-inch sounds pretty decent too. So
did your wife say this stuff to you too?
No. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I need more inches.
Or is your wife? Is your wife right now going? You know what? I have to deal with the O-ring 3 3/4 right now, an 8-inch.
Yeah, I'm getting old. I need more inches. So happens to the best of us. So
no, to each their own. No, of course you're wrong about McFarlane compared to Legends, but that's okay. You can like what you like.
I love McFarlane stuff. And then you see like Tony, like
that's you, Tony and Gaines are the only.
Well, Tony will take a McFarlane figure and, like slap a thing of soft goods on it, adjust the ankle or something, put a matte clear coat on it, and all of a sudden it looks like it's a $100 figure. And you're like, where'd you get that? Like, is that an indie thing? Is that an overseas? Is that an unlicensed? It's like, no, that's McFarlane. I just did X, Y, and Z. And it's like, damn you, Tony. Now I got to customize McFarlane figures.
Yeah, but you see those pins from outer space.
I don't care. I don't care about the pins. The pins don't bother me.
Pins don't bother me either, but I'll say it again. The McFarlane pins are like overly sized. Like they're overly big.
Yeah.
I have 2 McFarlane figures up here, and one is Spawn and one is Sergeant Rock.
You got to have Todd McFarlane's figure of himself. Like that's it. It's the go-to figure. You have to have that one. Every collector should have a Todd McFarlane. So, I mean, it comes with bare feet for crying out loud, and a little con badge that he wears around his neck. So That's the best figure that's come out the last 10 years. So.
He even talked about how he didn't want to do it, yet he did it anyway.
Yeah.
Like, it is your company. You can say no. Like, you don't have to do it.
Yeah. I love listening to Todd's interviews when he calls them figures. We got these new figures coming out.
I gotta say, like, so, I know a lot of people don't like what he has to say. I actually find a lot of his interviews to be very, very interesting and very enlightening. He's very honest about things.
Yeah.
And people will hear things that he says. And I heard what he said about that he can't do a full wave of female figures because they wouldn't sell. And people took it that you can't ever do female figures. It's not what he said. He said if I did a wave of all female figures, they'd sit there and no one would buy them. And he's probably correct because of the figures that he's picking out. He didn't say that he can't do any female figures. Now, don't get me wrong.
He's done plenty of female figures over the last few years, but he, just not a full wave of them.
Yeah. And again, it's different.
I mean, Bobby took that challenge and he ended up doing a full wave of female figures, and I think he killed it. They looked great.
But what he's doing is way different than what McFarlane was doing.
Oh yeah.
And that's where a lot of people didn't.
Yeah, because you're creating new characters. You're not having to rely on, these old stories and old, characters and that kind of thing.
And no, don't get me wrong. Do I think he did maybe one too many Batman? Probably.
He's done a few. He's done a few Batman.
I don't know what he's going to do after.
I tell you what, though, I anytime that people start giving me shit about the number of Batmans that McFarlane does, I'm like, go to your Walmart or Target and see how many times you see that fucking Spider-Man figure from the Marvel movies or that Captain America. They're in every single fucking store, just peg warming the last 2 years.
Okay, wait a minute. Hold on, wait a minute. This.
Yeah.
Okay, that argument right there is, and again, it's not about politics, but this is the same argument when someone says, I don't like, or I didn't. When Obama was in office and they say, I don't like Obama, and they go, he's better than Bush. I'm like, I didn't say Bush was good, right? Like most people that brag on it do not say there aren't enough Spider-Man and Captain America on the shelves. Right?
I'm just saying they're hypocritical for going after McFarlane, but nobody ever bashes Marvel Legends and says, how come we're only getting Captain America and Spider-Man nonstop over and over again?
No. You are clearly not following the Marvel Legends people because there are guys that literally lost their shit over waves of Spider-Man stuff.
I mean, I love Spider-Man as much as the next
guy. Of course,
guy,
I do have Spider-Man 77.
But I'm going to get my Spider-Man from Mayfex, where you should get all your Spider-Man from, because they're just better.
You just need to get the Maximum Spider-Man.
Me Maximum Profit Spider-Man?
You can call it whatever you want, but it's an awesome figure.
it's no Mayfex, but...
well, it's also only $50.
Okay. I would spend, I tell you what, it's funny. Like you talk about articulation and sometimes people will say, well, you don't need it to pose like Spider-Man. Well, you know what you do need to pose like Spider-Man? Spider-Man. Yeah.
Oh no, I'm with you.
And when you need it to pose like Spider-Man, I'm getting a Mayfex. Like for my money, it doesn't get any better than that. And
again,
listen, people talk about the CT toys and, whatever. They look okay, but it's no Mayfex.
Hey, I don't think that every figure needs articulated toes. G.I. Joe figures do not need articulated toes. Maybe Storm Shadow, maybe the ninjas if you wanted to do it, but that, so all Spider-Man should have articulated toes.
Oh yeah.
Right? I think Daredevil articulated. These are figures that need it. Captain America doesn't need it. All the fucking McFarlane shit, you don't need articulated toes.
No.
So he has them and they look awful. But
yeah, he's also got trigger fingers on a bunch of characters that don't have guns. So,
I think
whatever. I'm not saying that every move that Todd makes is great. He makes a lot of dumb moves. But I think he also takes more shit than what he deserves. So
William Husted, Max Spider.
I love William, but William has some really, really rough takes.
Hey, I don't have the Mafex one. I have the Maximum one. I just needed one and that's I was just like, I just need to get a good Spider-Man because I just wanted one, and I have Ben Reilly, and because I have the Ben Reilly, and I just like Ben Reilly from when I collected comic books. I just thought it was a cool looking outfit. But I was like, I kept seeing all these waves of Spider-Man, and none of them had articulated toes, and I can get Ben Reilly to stand on one toe, on one foot, right? Like I'm like, if the Spider-Man doesn't have it, I'm not going to get it. And it was, I mean, right after that, they showed the Maximum Spider-Man. I was like, that's perfect. That's all I need is that one figure right there. Because I was looking at like the Mofex and different ones like that. And once that came out, I'm like, you know what? I'll get this. And I've been extremely happy with it. But then again, I love this figure too that no one seems to like. And this has been
Poofy Chest Boy.
Oh man, this I played with this figure more than any other figure all year.
Yeah.
Dude, I have pictures of him like ripping off the wing of the Rattler.
I like the can't remember, is it Medi Toys or the one that people did where they took the orc and then they got the soft goods for it to turn it into Hulk? Like that looks phenomenal.
Yeah, again, I'm not saying it's the greatest figure. I'm just saying I've had the most fun with it.
Oh yeah, I could see that.
Because again, there's a lot of.
I've thought of picking it up. I've seen it in a few GameStops and stuff, and I'm like, you know, I really don't like that poofy, like those poofy torsos. Like I've had a couple with like some Storm figures and stuff, and I don't know.
That's what. Okay, so that was my big gripe about people flipping out about it, and like people were acting like this is new. It's like, man, they have put these puffy chests or puffy crotches on figures forever. I mean, you can go back to like 70s. They used it. I mean, it was a little bit different, but they did the same fucking concept. This isn't nothing new, yet everyone made it seem like this is something new. It's like, this is the first time that Legends have done it, you know, but NECA, they have like a soft crotch on their figure.
Yeah, I don't mind it in the crotch area. The chest, I just worry about like when you're posing it and stuff, that like I've seen some where people have it posed and it kind of squeezes that chest in certain places and just looks kind of funky. And then I've seen some people say that they've had some damage already on it, but I don't know how much of that is, you know, people trying to bash the figure versus like stuff that's like true, honest damage. So.
I've had a few people try and mention it to me. I'm like, hey, all I know is I look at mine and I don't have that issue. But I also know that when you have anything that's puffy like that or a soft rubber good, if you leave it in a position that is putting pressure on it, you're risking that it cracking.
Yeah.
I mean, again, like we're adults that collect toys. Most of us aren't that stupid. We should understand that shit's gonna happen if you do that. But anyway, that's a whole nother topic. I just love that figure.
It does look fun. For sure.
It is, and I've had fun like trying it. You can use it against everything. I had it against the Dragonfly. I've had it against the BBTS Mythic Legion exclusive.
Stavros.
Yeah, whatever his name is. I'll never be able to remember it. Like I've just had a lot of fun with it. You know, a lot of people don't like it. It's like, I don't care. For me, I got my $60 worth out of it.
That's cool.
I know you collect the Mythic Legions. Are you picking up any of the Savage Crucible stuff?
No, I have not picked up anything from Savage Crucible. I do think that the what is it, the Jaeger figure? I think that one looks pretty cool. I could see myself having one of those at some point, but the other stuff, like the snake, you know, lizard things like that's just not something that pulls me in. So
that's really the only reason why there's.
I mean, there's some history between Rob Post and some folks in the Horseman community. So it's one of those situations, and I've just had a couple strange interactions with Rob. So it's one of those where like I'm not like, I don't fault anybody else that wants it, and like if I see a cool enough figure that I'm like, it's not going to stop me from buying any of his figures, but I'm not like racing out to like support him either. That I'm like, you know what I'm saying? No, like I've got friends in this community that have had Kickstarters where I'm like, hey, maybe I'm not exactly into the toys, but I'm going to support it anyways because I like this person. And then
Yeah.
you get the figures in hand, like, oh wow, these are actually pretty good. Like one example is the D13 Biblical Adventures. Like I saw those and I'm like, do I really need a Jesus figure? Do I need a, do I need a John the Baptist and all this kind of stuff? But like you get those figures in hand, you're like, wow, these are actually pretty good figures. But I got into it just because I want to support somebody that I think is a cool person that's making toys. And then there's other people where you're like, yeah, I mean, they weren't really exactly cool to me. So if they make a cool figure that I want to have in my collection, I'm going to do it. But I'm not like racing out just to, if it's not something that speaks to me. And those lizard ones, like, I mean, even the one, Four Horsemen did, what is it? The Ninian Infantry this past year, the Snake Man that they did at Legions Con. I'm like, it just doesn't really do anything for me. So it's just not my aesthetic. But that Jaeger, I think, looks really cool. I think that one looks awesome. So.
It is. I actually picked that one up for my moderator, and he let me review it. And that one's really good because I got the ball and chain. And I had my own issues with the other figure that I got when they had the articulated toes and him falling over. Yeah,
I had heard. I mean, I don't really feed too much into that. I mean, there's some people that will try to like drive division between brands and stuff. I mean, I'm sure you see it with the Valaverse and Joe people. And,
what are you talking about?
And there's people that do it within the Legions and Savage Crucible camp. When it comes to like QC things, like that's going to happen, especially when it's a brand new toy line. Like you're going to have those issues. I think it's really a matter of what does a company do when those issues come about and how do they rectify those situations that speaks to kind of who they are. So, that shit's going to happen.
Yes.
So.
I threw it here. I had an issue. Yeah. No, I had an issue with it falling over, and I bitched about it at the end of the review. He remembered me at Joe Fest.
Very nice.
And we had a little talk about it. He didn't seem too happy with me about it. And then when I saw him and then we were good. And at the end of this Joe Fest, when he saw me again, he kind of brought it up again. I said, hey, I did a review on the new feet. And he goes, I saw it and I appreciate it. I go, I give you a lot of respect. No one else is saying, hey, people are unhappy about those feet. They're not strong enough. We're going to redo the feet completely and we're going to send them out to you guys. And that's what you guys did. And I would have never bought another figure had it been, if they would have kept the same aesthetics where they had that articulated toe that I didn't trust. Yeah. And they did, and I bought it, and I was super happy with it. I was actually kind of disappointed that I didn't buy the Jaeger after I reviewed Matthew's. Now I can still go get it.
Right.
Well, Matthew, I know you say yours work great, but everyone else seemed to have an issue.
I know, like Mondo, especially when after Funko first bought them out, and there was a few figures they put out. The Deluxe He-Man had some issues. I think it was the She-Ra.
Oh, I remember that.
But they immediately like rectified the situation. Yep. They sent out people brand new figures, or they sent out like with the She-Ra ones, they had some issue with like the nose or something, like was like crushed with the package or something. And it wasn't with all of the figures, but they ended up just sending an extra head to anybody that had bought one. Right. And so I think that's when you really see what a company is worth when they have those issues. How do they respond to it? So,
no, I'm with you.
But this is, I'll share something with you real quick that I put together a couple years ago. I got it down there at the bottom, but this is my toy vendor buying guide. And so, like I look at it as, for instance, like the D13. I think Chris is a great person. I like Chris. He's an awesome guy. He is very big in our community. He does a lot of things with a bunch of different Kickstarters kicking off. And then I looked at him like, they're good toys. So great person, good toys. Definitely going to buy some. That's in this category right here. Right. Four Horsemen, great people, great toys. I'm buying all in all the time. Right. if I'm not naming any names or anything, but if you're down here and you're kind of a terrible person and you've got a good or great toy, there's a chance I might buy some, but I'm not racing to go buy some, right? And if it's terrible toys by a terrible person, well, it's just out. So this is kind of
I love that.
So, I mean, the longer the things go in this community, you see a lot of Kickstarters coming up with people that and Adam's been involved in a bunch of Kickstarters, and I know Brick has been around with the AWOC folks and trying to help them out with their stuff. So you kind of know these people that are involved in this stuff, and you're like, man, I really like this person, and the toys are pretty good, and you just kind of figure out where you're going to buy from there.
No, I think again, I love that. And again, I'm the one person. I'm one of the people you don't have to explain. Like, if I don't like somebody and there may be personal reasons or whatever, hey, I'm not wishing ill on their company or anything, but I work hard for my money, and if I don't like you as a person, I'm not going to spend my money on your company.
Well, it's just priorities, right? Where you're spending this, and it's not that you're like boycotting or that you're, telling other people not to buy it or anything like that. I'll say like with the Savage Crucible stuff, even though it's not really my aesthetic and I haven't gotten into it, I'm over on their Facebook board, and there's some super creative folks over there that are doing some awesome stuff. It's a lot of what I don't see as much of in the Cabal anymore with Mythic Legions, or as much, because the line has grown so much within Mythic Legions. There's so many parts within that line that people are doing a lot of mixing and matching of just Mythic Legion parts. Whereas early on, the library was so limited that you were seeing people mix stuff in from Star Wars and from Lord of the Rings and from whatever, like different lines, McFarlane, and they were mixing parts together with the Legions and coming up with these really cool creations. You don't see that as much anymore because there's so many Mythic Legion parts on their own that they don't have to go outside to other stuff. But if you go to the Savage Crucible page, you'll see a lot of that, like people that are mixing soft goods and they're mixing armor from a different, from a Zezre figure or, whatever. There's just a lot more of that creativity going on over there right now, and it's really cool to see.
No, and again, I'm not a Valaverse fan. I'm not a fan of the owner, but I've reviewed a lot of those figures. I don't review them anymore. I don't purchase the stuff anymore. I've always given an honest opinion. If you look at the reviews, not the reviews, you look at the comments, so many people said, hey, I got into this because of your review. I don't review anything due to a person. Like, if I may not like you, or again, it depends on how far down the road we are. But it's like, I'm reviewing the action figure. I'm not letting my personal views get in the way. Yeah. Because people tune in to hear what I actually have to say, because I'm going to give my honest opinion. But I can tell you that on Classified, on Valaverse, I've had people say, man, you're just a fucking shill.
Oh yeah.
They can't do anything wrong. And then the next comment is, all you do is hate on everything and it's like, wait a minute, this person up here just said all I do is praise everything, and you're saying that all I do is hate on the whole thing. Like, did you guys watch the video?
Yeah, I mean, I'm of the mindset, like, if somebody asks me a question, you're gonna get an honest answer. I'm not gonna really try to pull punches, but at the same time, I'm not out to destroy anybody either. Like, I'm just gonna be honest. So.
You can be honest without being a dick.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You can also be honest and be a total dick.
Like, I'll give you the greatest example for me is Super 7. Like, I am all in on Silverhawks because I love Silverhawks. I fucking hate how Super 7 has dealt with it. And Brian Flynn, sorry, I call him Lion Flynn, for how they did the whole, we can't do vac metal on these figures. Like, it doesn't make sense. You're not able to do it. And they sell us this whole thing of these other figures. And then once we've got them, then they're like, oh, by the way, we're going to do vac metal too. And here it is, And so it's like, they just keep kind of like tweaking it a little bit and making it into the version you really wanted. And now you end up buying multiples. And it's like, yeah.
So this makes me mad.
Yeah.
This makes me mad. The whole, and we may have discussed this over on the clubhouse, because the whole vac metal thing, I have to defend Brian Flynn, which it literally hurts my soul to do. But he said that that vac metal will not stay on the types of plastic that they use. And then he did it, and he basically said, hey, this is what you guys wanted, but I'm telling you right now, it's going to flake. And it did. So he kind of said, here, you guys want it? Now, he should have just done it from the beginning.
Well, initially he said they couldn't do it. They didn't just say it would flake. He said they couldn't do it. Like, it wasn't possible to manufacture articulated joints with vac metal.
But
they couldn't do it.
And when they did it,
not true. They can do it. It's just going to possibly flake. It's possibly going to get loose. Then he said, you know, when they put out the first run, they're like, you can't really tell from pictures, but it's going to have more of this metallic sheen to it when you get it. You get it, and it's like, there's no metallic sheen. It is like gray. It is like a flat gray or a flat blue. It has no metallic sheen to it. And listen, we've seen a lot of companies do metallic paints, even if you're not going to do vac metal, that you can do metallic paints. And there was no metallic to those first figures at all. But it was like, we've not had Silverhawks in 25 years. This may be the only thing we ever get. We got to buy it. And then, you know, lo and behold, it's like weeks after you get the one wave, then it's like, oh, by the way, here's the vac metal ones you really wanted. Like, you son of a.
And again, the reason why it bothers me is because I've caught him in so many lies and so many. And when other people start saying the same thing and they start calling him, I'm like, all right, that's just it. You know, people say he always wanted to do the O-rings.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's fine. But he literally said in an interview, he said, well, we're not going to do O-ring. Hey, that's a Hasbro thing. And to be honest, I've always liked 5 POA more anyway. Even if he couldn't do O-ring, because people are like, well, he couldn't do O-ring. What is he supposed to say? You don't have to lie and say, hey, I've always liked this more. There is not one person in this world that ever had a G.I. Joe and you said, you know what? I really wish it moved like a Star Wars figure. Right? Like, yeah. So
that's true.
And we've all caught him in so many lies. So yeah, it bugs the shit out of me. I mean, it really does. And I've said this before. I think another thing that bothers me is he is straight edge like me. He's a punk rocker and he's a skateboarder. I should want to collect everything the guy makes. Yet I want to buy nothing. And
I hear him talk in interviews, and I'm like, I feel like this is a guy that I would love to just hang out with and have a discussion about toys. But then it's like, man, like just so many things that like you get these figures and like they sell you on one thing, right? They put out the picture, they sell you on one thing, and then you get it in hand. You're like, this looks completely different. It is terrible. They threw in all these extra accessories that I didn't need so that they could keep the price jacked up. And it's like, man, just so many decisions that I don't agree with. But at the same time, if I want Silverhawks, and it's probably my favorite cartoon as a kid growing up, it was probably my favorite property. Like, I can't. That's the only person making them. So what option do I have?
And I understand that because because when people go like, I hate Hasbro, I'm not going to buy it. I'm like, well, first off, I mean, Hasbro, they're a corporation, dude. Do you love them or hate them? I don't. It doesn't even matter. They're a fucking corporation, just like Mattel.
Yeah, they're taking care of their stockholders is their first and foremost thing that they're gonna do.
The G.I. Joe team loves what they're doing, and they love the fans, right? And that's what I'm looking at. But if I want G.I. Joe, it's my favorite toy by far. Like, I mean, there's not even a close second. What am I gonna buy? The Mezco? Am I going to go to Super 7 and buy that? I mean, I have the Mezco, but they haven't made a figure in over a year.
I mean, if you're just looking for the military part of it, like there's some options with some of the, obviously Valaverse, and then some of the stuff that like the big bad toy store stuff that they're doing.
Yeah. I want G.I. Joe.
But if you specifically want those characters, there's only one place to go. I mean, Super 7 did some crappy ones there for a bit that nobody cared about, but
and it doesn't help what the classified team did, where they're like, oh yeah, you can buy that or you can buy this one.
Yeah.
So no, I understand what you're saying about. That's what I'm saying about the whole like Super 7 is the only one making the Silverhawks, and G.I. Joe is a much bigger brand. So there's a good chance that if Hasbro decided to say, hey, you know what, we're done, someone else is probably going to pick it up.
Yeah,
willing to be
like,
third party.
Yeah, I don't think that at any point we're going to go through a dry spell of not getting G.I. Joe. We're going to have it in some form or fashion. Whereas, we did go 20 something years without Silverhawks. And if Super 7 failed, like, you just may never see those again. Like, the rest of your life, you may never see them. So,
and this is one of those things I think a lot of people don't realize is that Mask, Thundercats, Silverhawks, there's a very small fan base for them.
Oh, yeah.
Now, it seems larger because they're all our age and we know where they're at.
Well, we're plugged into those communities, so it's kind of that echo chamber thing, right?
But Transformers, Star Wars, TMNT, G.I. Joe, Motu, like there's a much, much larger fan base. That's the reason why those were such a bigger property back then.
Well, and that's why if you are a fan of something like I'll give an example, like Biker Mice from Mars. Like we just saw those all clearanced out and stuff, right? From Nacelle. Like if that's something that you loved as a kid, like you should be supporting that, because if you don't, you may never see those again. Right. And like Sectars is another one that you're seeing kind of clearanced out now, even though they just announced a second wave. But like, that's something that, like, if that's your thing, like, don't wait for better ones, because you may not ever get ones again. So get them now.
No, I'm with you 100%. So I fully understand. And again, I don't really buy too much Super 7 stuff. I do look and see what O-ring stuff is coming out. And when I see the O-ring stuff, I'm very disappointed in it because it doesn't look as good as the original O-ring stuff. And I understand times have changed, but it should look better. Because I look at the other O-ring stuff like Delta 17, what Skeletron did, and I'm like, why is this from a much smaller company than you making this stuff look better? But with that said, I've seen the actual Hasbro O-ring stuff when they do it, and I'm kind of like, you guys aren't even doing it right. No wonder why Super 7 takes your property and doesn't do it right.
Yeah. I mean, I've never found Super 7 anything that they've done to be like amazing. I think the best thing that they probably did was the Turtles. I think their Turtles line was pretty decent. But nothing that I've ever seen them do is amazing. It's just like, hey, this is the option that we've got, so like when they were doing the Masters, when Mattel gave it up and they were doing it, is like they were the only game in town. So it was either buy it from Super 7 or don't have Motu. I do think that like their like the 87 movie ones they did like right at the end, like it did feel like they were kind of picking up speed a little bit towards the end of that before Mattel took it back. But yeah.
Clint Jorgensen says, had breakfast with the Super 7 president at Joe Fest. Surprised he had time with how big his booth was. They had such a small footprint this year.
I heard that it was quite a bit smaller, but I heard their Godzilla thing was like went off like gangbusters.
I honestly didn't even go into it. Like I didn't even go.
Sounded like they sold out really quickly, and it was pretty popular. I'm not a big Godzilla fan, but it sounded like it was pretty.
No, I know a lot of people like their Godzilla stuff, but the aesthetics of a Godzilla, they don't. When they do Godzilla and stuff like that, they don't. And they don't have to do this. This is one of my biggest issues with their Ultimates line, where they're like, well, we can't change the articulation now because all the other stuff is. I'm like, that's the biggest crock of shit I've ever heard, because the original Classified, their articulation is different now than what it was then. Valaverse is the same way, right? Like it's called evolving.
Yeah.
Right?
The way that I look at it, like for instance, I told you I'm all in on the Silverhawks. Like I look at it as I don't really care about the articulation. I'm going to put it on my shelf and it's going to be part of a shelf display anyway. But do you need to throw in like shit that nobody cares about to keep the price up? Like, there's a lot of times where they include stuff, especially if you look at like the Turtles or the Silverhawks. Like there's stuff that they'll throw in there that's like, I absolutely did not need this. And like, it's justifying this, you know, $65 price point or whatever. That's just way too freaking high. Like strip some of this extra shit down and bring the cost down on this. But.
And I know I've talked to people and I said, you know, I've listened to G.I. Joe and the majority of G.I. Joe fans, they're G.I. Joe fans, they're not toy collectors. And there's nothing wrong with that, but that means you don't understand the inner workings of how the toy community is. And they see that $55 price for these G.I. Joe Ultimates and they freak out that it's too expensive. And they're freaking out because they see a classified that's 25, then they see this that it's 55. To me, $55 for a figure, no big deal, right?
If you want it enough, yeah.
Yeah, but 55, you know, when I look at a Ultimate, 55 is too much because it's poor quality.
Right.
A lot of times it's poor paint. A lot of times you're told this is what you're getting, and then that's not in there, and he just goes, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, like you were talking about your Maximum Spider-Man or the Maximum Hulk. Like if you're getting quality for your money, then it's worth it, you know. Exactly. But if you're not, then it's like, okay, so I'm paying extra money and I'm getting terrible quality.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing. Like when these G.I. Joe collectors see it, they're flipping out because they're like, well, classified is only 25. Who's going to spend $55 on an action figure? A lot of people, right? Yeah. But our issue that it's $55, it's not that it's $55, it's that it's poor quality. If you got those Ultimates and they had great articulation and the weapons looked good and nothing was super soft and didn't break right out of the package, I don't think people would care. I think they'd be happy to pay $55.
For sure.
The problem is it doesn't happen.
Yeah, they're stiff. So,
but all right, so let's just talk about this whole Four Horsemen thing, this whole Mythic Legion thing that you have become, I would say, pretty involved with.
I would say that.
You have your wife who does
soft goods.
Now, did she do soft goods for them?
No, she does just soft goods for the customizing side of things. Okay. So like we'll go to shows and have capes and cloaks and hoods and things like that, and people buy them to kind of amp up their figures. But
you have kind of explained the Cabal to people, because I don't know how to explain what the Cabal is.
So
other than it's kind of a cult, but
well, I mean, you could look at it that it's a fan group, like anything else. It's the official Four Horsemen page for their stuff, and it's just a bunch of people that love the stuff that they're creating, whether it's Mythic Legions, Cosmic Legions, Figure Obscura, and the thing that really drew me to the Cabal early on was it was a lot of folks that were just sharing the stuff that they were creating. So you had people that were making amazing dioramas. You had people that were doing like these pop and swap figures where they're just kind of mixing and matching parts. People are doing full repaints, people that are like just creating stuff, or even doing just amazing photography and then sharing their stuff on there. And it's just a very warm community of, folks that are doing that stuff and sharing things. And when I first got in, like I said, I had zero artistic background, and I would see things from these people that were like really amazing customizers, and you would ask them questions like, "Oh, what parts did you use on this?" or "How did you get that paint match?" or whatever. And they were real quick to just like give those answers and help you out. And so that's the kind of place that I've seen it be. That being said, it's 7,000 members now. And when you start getting that big, you've also got, you got some rough patches in there too.
That is a warm community. And on cue, before I even got to say anything, Viper Scout says, so where do you fall on YouTube reviewers ruining the Christmas present surprise?
If they don't know about it, I am fully in agreement that it is a small, just like we talked about, like these other Silverhawks and things like that being like small fan groups. In the grand scheme of things, like Mythic Legions fan group is a small fan group when you compare it to like Masters of the Universe or G.I. Joe or something like that. So if you're not plugged into the community and you're not watching like Jeremy's show every Wednesday when he's doing Mythic Conversations, like he did a show this Wednesday where they're showing what their armory experience is going to be this year at Legions Con, which is where you pay $45 and you go through this line and you get to put all the parts together of a figure. You got to you get to mix and match and pick however you want it to go. That's super cool. But if you're not plugged in the community, you don't know that that's going on. You know, I could see somebody not knowing that. And so I could see somebody like opening up a figure and going, oh, wow, this is cool. And I'm going to put it out there. Kind of sucks for people that are keeping it a secret when they see it as a thumbnail. And then if it's,
I went and changed it.
Yeah. Well, in my opinion, if somebody then finds out like, hey, this is supposed to be a secret or something, then and they change it, then that's it. Like it's done. Like the situation is over. They didn't know. Now they know. Now it's changed. Some people in any community, but I would say I've seen it within the Cabal, like to just beat things into the ground until it's like, you know, just the dead horse kind of thing. And so even after the thumbnails change, they just keep going and going and going. It's like, okay, like get it, move on. So yeah, I would say the whole situation that happened, I don't know that the response from the community was great, but then your response to the response, I don't know was great either.
I wasn't.
Yeah.
Again, you can only be attacked so much and be like, you know what?
Get it?
Fuck you guys. I paid for this.
Yep.
And I will reiterate, there was 100 pieces of paper in there. And not one of them said, hey, there's a little surprise in here. Please, we'd rather you not show it off till Christmas.
Yeah. Fair. That's a fair point.
And yes, I was aggressive, but I also knew what I was doing too. All right. Yeah. But I was just, but again, I agree. Like, hey, if you bought it, you can do whatever you want with it. But I also like to think I'm not that big of an asshole. And I'm a pretty big asshole at times. I'm not that big of an asshole that it's like, if I knew that, and I truly had no idea. I had no idea that that's why that was like that. And now they said, like, hey, every Christmas, that's how it is. And I would not be surprised if this year there is not a little letter in there, in that box that says, hey, please don't show off this.
I honestly wouldn't be surprised if at some point that just stops, because it does, you know, I'm an admin within the Cabal. And so before this past year, they actually came out and said, hey, we'd like to keep this a surprise till Christmas. We should have all of them delivered by then. In past years, they didn't even say that. They were just like, hey, keep this a surprise for a while. You know, we don't want people being ruined with it. So then it's constantly like, is today the day we can post it? Is today the way, you know? And then there's these people that are like, well, if you're not allowing me to post this, you're infringing on my right to share my love of my toy. And then there's these other people like, well, if you let them post it, then you're allowing them to ruin the surprise for me because I haven't gotten mine yet. And it's just like, shut up. Like, everybody just shut up. Like, you know, so there's moments like that where it's like,
you can tell them, hey, the guy that ruined the surprise last year, he literally fixed copiers. He can print up for you a little statement and he can just ship it over. Wouldn't even cost you guys any money on your copy machines.
There you go.
And Matthew did tell me after, but I had no idea what you were talking about. You're like, that's supposed to be a surprise. I didn't realize, you're like, that's supposed to be a surprise for Christmas. I didn't realize that it was such a big thing. And I had no idea about it until all of a sudden, like, I think Oz had messaged me and was like, I'm like, what the, like,
I think on one of the first ones, you know, Dorklayer had done a review because he does all the figure reviews like the day that it drops. And I think like he basically got towards the end of the review and he's like, after this point, I'm going to show you the surprise. So if you watch further, just keep in mind, this is a surprise. Don't, you know, be spreading it around, whatever. But if you want to see it, you can continue to watch the review. And I think that's a good way of handling it. Like if you still want to show it and you still want to review it.
Yeah.
You know, if if you're alerted to the fact. So
it was fun though. It was fun. At least I would assume probably some Mythic Legions people actually found out who I was. who probably never heard of me because they're like, that's a Joe guy.
Oh yeah, there was a lot of cursing. So
I just remember Oz saying, Oz, when we talked about it, he said, me and Joe, who's sitting right there, and you, like, they were all defending, like, hey, the guy, he's not in our, like, if you're not in this, you don't know.
I was really quick to go, hey, he doesn't know, he changed it, whatever. And then the next thing I got back was a little clip where you're like, it's my fucking toy, I'll do whatever the fuck I want. I'm like, well, that's not exactly that's not gonna make the community warm up to him, but whatever.
No one ever said I was warm and fuzzy.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So, as close as you've gotten with the Mythic Legions, I always say Mythic Legions was really 4 horsemen.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do you collect Cosmic Legions?
Yes.
Okay. So I didn't know if like you were just into fantasy because
no. In fact, my favorite line right now is their figure obscura. I think their figure obscura is the best figure line going.
I feel like, to me, the figure obscura seems like I know it's called figure obscura or figura obscura. It feels like it's an extension of of Mythic Legion, where I feel like Cosmic Legions is completely.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the Mythic Legion is kind of sword and sorcery, which, I mean, we really didn't have sorcery in our history, but we've had knights and we've had, barbarian type characters and things like that. So, I mean, some of it is based in reality, and figure obscura is really based in historical, whether it's literature or, historical accuracy and that kind of thing. So, but so it's not really mythic, but I could see where it's more kind of earthly. But I just like the spectacle of it. The fact that we get a tease on a Friday, then it gets dropped on a Saturday. We get the review from Bill that we get to go through. And then within like a week or two, you've got this thing in hand. It's not like a 2-year pre-order or something like that. It's like, yeah, this one, it's still on the water, but normally, like within a few weeks, like you've got this thing in hand. It's just like it's a whole spectacle. And I just think it's super cool. And there's been, I'm not a well-learned man. And there's been a lot of things. Like I knew nothing about Krampus before it came out. I didn't even know that was a thing. I didn't know anything about Monkey King. And so as these things get released and I read the information that they put out with it and stuff, I get to learn about this stuff that I didn't know anything about, which is super cool.
You mean learned?
Yeah, exactly.
But you kind of have your own figure now too.
I do. I have a tribute figure that they announced here recently. So
kind of explain that.
So they, over the past initially there was a couple folks that actually paid to have a tribute figure. So there was a couple Kickstarters where you could like donate a certain amount of money during the Kickstarter and they would make a Mythic Legion figure in your honor.
Did Joe have one?
Joe Gonzalez?
Yes.
Not officially, no.
How does he not?
So that was kind of early on. And then more recently, what they've done is like the 4 Horsemen do a good job of staying in touch with the folks that are in their community, and they know what things that they're into and that kind of stuff. So as like they do go to release a new wave, sometimes Jeremy will find himself saying like, oh, well, so-and-so is going to really like this character, like, cause they're really into this stuff, or, this actually resembles somebody from the community or whatever. And so they will sometimes, put something in the name or something in the bio to kind of do that. And for me, like one of the things that I had really been beating on for a while was that I wanted them to do like gnomes or halflings or something like that, something with a smaller scale than what they currently had. As somebody that played World of Warcraft, cue the nerd, one of the races in there that we don't have within Mythic Legion was like gnomes. I wanted like specifically like a tinker gnome and things like that. So I've been asking for that for years. And so when they went to go do the first gnome, they named it after me and put a whole story in there about kind of the name, I guess, is like Nordic for big helper, because they, say that I've done a good job of kind of helping people in the community and stuff. And so it was just a huge honor to, have them kind of mention all that on a live stream and talk through it. And yeah, so I got a figure coming in the most recent wave that they just had up for pre-order. So,
and your wife got named in it too, correct?
Yeah. So then they did like an extended story as the few weeks went on and this stuff was up for pre-order. They did kind of an extended story of the people that were in the wave. And as they're going through the story, the character that they did for me is Burus, which is they're burrow gnomes. So that's everything. All their names start with BURR because they're burrow gnomes. So Burus is my character. And then as they're going through it and talking about that, it says he turns to his wife, Burla. My wife's name is Darla. So it's Burla. And they talk about how she's like a seamstress for the town. And she does, carries on a bunch of other jobs and helps people out and stuff. So it was just really funny because like I typically don't read much. And so when it comes to, or at all, and so when it comes to like these stories that they put out and stuff, typically I'll say, hey, there's a new story. And then we'll sit on the end of the bed and she'll read it to me. And so she's sitting there reading this story and then comes across that with like her name and is like, what? And she's like, so we were both pretty surprised by it. And it's just, one of those things where like, I don't know that anybody is deserving of this kind of thing, but it's just a huge honor. And it's also just shows how in touch they are with their fan base, that they know like, hey, this is something that they would really enjoy and get a kick at. Even as he's writing the bio, he's like, I know that Darla is going to read this to Curtis and it's going to be funny when she gets to that part and reads that,
And see, that is something that I like, because it's one thing for someone to be like, hey, we're going to take you and we're going to make you into an action figure, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's way, because that's saying like, oh, I just like you, we're going to put you. It's way different to take something and know something about them. Like they know about you and they know about your wife. And they're like, this figure doesn't look like him, but the story is going to encompass who he is. And then on top of that, his wife is also there. And obviously the name is, resembles hers.
Yeah.
And when you do stuff like that, in my opinion, it's way different than being like, well, we just want your likeness. We know who you are because we've seen you.
Yeah.
They actually know who you are. They know about.
Yeah, it's not like where they're just like scanning your face and throwing something in there or whatever. It really is that they know who these folks are. Like they spend time. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. If you ever go to Legions Con, it's one of the best cons to go to. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a Legions fan. I mean, there's folks that go there. I know Robo went this past year and fell in love with it. And he said if he could only go to one con each year, it would be Legions Con. And there's just something special about all the creativity in that room, all the people that are making their own things. And, to see this company that not only is okay with people like making these creations with their toys, but they encourage it. And then like on the Friday night after setup, they, once setup is all done, they close the doors. Well, Eric Treadaway, who is, one of the Four Horsemen, he's the one that does all the sculpting and kind of helps create all the bios and stuff. He walks the floor and looks at everybody's table to see what creations people came up with. And he just gets a huge kick out of it. Like, can you imagine like a Hasbro executive or a Mattel executive or something, like walking around a con and seeing what creations people are making because they just love toys that much? Like, it's just that little special touch that you don't see a whole lot of.
And it seems like it's authentic.
Oh yeah.
You know what? It's not like I should do this just because it's going to help them think. It's going to help. It's going to help me sell them more product.
Yeah.
It's, hey, I want to see what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, they got into it because they love toys. Like there's a love of that stuff there,
Yeah. I would love to go to Legions Con, and it's in a bad time for where I'm at, and plus I'm also going to Assembly Require this year, which is like the week before it. Now, a couple years ago, I was in New Jersey for something that I qualified for my job.
Mhm.
And had I realized that Legions Con was the week before, I
Oh,
would have just gone out. I would have gone out that weekend
that would have been awesome.
because I was right by Chubsy. What like they're right by each other. So
Mhm.
Legions Con was right by in the area of where the whole training was and everything.
Mhm.
And that's if I ever qualify again, it's going to be like either like 1 week right after. It's right around there. But it's one of those things where I can probably fudge it to make it work. But I also always take the week of Thanksgiving off. So it's definitely it's very difficult to be
Yeah, I
like,
mean it's interesting. I never would have thought if you would have told me that each November I was going to take a vacation to New Jersey, I would have called you a liar. So, but it really is one of those things that I know a lot of folks that they go to their first one and they're like, I'm never going to miss this again. It's just it's one of those things where it's self-contained within that, hotel and stuff. And so people will get there on, Thursday, Wednesday, sometimes even Tuesday, and they'll just stay in the hotel all week long. Like there's a pub there where you can order food. And they will people will hang out in the lobby, and they just don't leave the hotel for like 4 or 5 days and just hang out talking.
And Furious Figures, I'm assuming he's got to be one of your guys. Great to have you though. Legion's Con is part con and part family reunion. So everything like that I saw from Legion's Con past couple of years and everything I hear, that's how I feel Joe Fest is for us. But Joe Fest is much larger, but again, communities are completely different.
Yeah.
But same thing. Like we're in the hotel where this con is. The hotel lets people just sit out there till 3, 4 o'clock in the morning or whatever. Like you never have to leave.
Mm-hmm.
And it was crazy going to Joe Fest for the second time and see some of the guys from Ireland, other guys from California, Florida, whatever, and it feels like you just saw them like last month. Yet it's been a whole year, and it's like, holy shit, I can't believe it's been a year. I feel like we were just hanging out here like a few weeks ago. And everything that I saw there, that's how I feel. Other than it seems really cold, so to go outside would suck.
I mean, they do have a fire pit outside, which is nice to people huddle around the fire pit. And so that's been cool. But, it's one of those things where the hotel that it's in, it's a very nice, it's a Hanover Marriott. It's huge, very nice hotel. And, they've told a story that like the first year we were there, they didn't know what to expect because usually when folks are renting out the hotel or doing this kind of thing, it's a lot of like business conventions and things like that. So you get all these people in there that like they bring in these big statues with this like giant orc and stuff like that. And like all these people are in there with their bags of toys and, drinking in the lobby till 3 a.m. And like they were kind of expecting that it was going to be chaos and they were gonna have to break up some fights or call the police or whatever. And it was just like, it's not that at all. Like people are just so, take care of everything. They clean up after themselves, and to where afterwards the hotel's like, yeah, we want you guys back every year. Like this was awesome. Like we loved it. So
yeah. And that's how I felt like, I feel like Joe Fest is like the whole hotel is from what I understand, pretty much all G.I. Joe, all G.I. Joe, or everyone for the con. I don't want to say G.I. Joe, but all for the con, other than like they have to have so many rooms for like, stewardess and different things like that. But they just kind of, hey, you guys aren't fighting. You guys are kind of loud and rowdy, but who cares? You're in the lobby and everyone is pretty much here for you. And I think that's great. I'm hoping that Assembly Required is going to be similar to that, and it's great because it's once again, it is something specific. So it's bringing all these people together who this world is so different because 10 years ago, 15 years ago, you don't really know the person. You probably on a chat, on a message board or in a Facebook group. Now it's like the first time I met Tony, it was like, dude, I had been chatting with him and we've been online together. We've talked, like we know our cadences. It felt like I knew him for years already.
Yeah,
And
between YouTube and Facebook and just all social media, it's like, yeah, you see these people for the first time. I saw Joe last year for the first time at Legions Con, and like we've been doing shows together for a while now. And it's like, but it we just kind of fell into it like we had known each other for years and we've seen each other a bunch of times,
Yep.
but it was the first time seeing him. And then everybody's like, wow, Joe's a lot taller than we thought he was.
I was shocked to hear that he was taller than me. Well,
Yeah.
that's what I feel like Matthew. Like I've done numerous shows with Matthew. He's been my moderator. He was the first moderator that I had. We talk all the time. I've never met him in real life, but I feel like if I ran it, like if I saw him at a show, if he ever would come out to Joe Fest, like it wouldn't be like, oh hey, oh like, other than to actually finally get an actual feel of how big or small somebody is. That's like really the only thing. Like there were certain people that I know at Joe Fest the first year, I thought they were gonna look different. I thought some people were gonna be shorter and fatter, and then you find out they're tall and very stocky, and you're like, "Oh, I didn't see that one coming."
Yeah.
But we're living in such a different world where you actually have real connections, real emotion. And again, when I did this show, when I started, I said, I can't talk to an avatar because you don't get emotion out of people. You don't see facial expressions. And to see that avatar just kind of like flashing when someone's talking, I'm sorry. Like, if you don't want to show your face, that's fine. I understand people like to be secretive and not show off who they are, and that's fine. But I can't do that. I need to have the interaction. So like if I saw you, if I went to Legions Con one year and I saw you there, I probably feel like, hey, dude, like we've talked. I know exactly who you are, other than to see the physical size of whoever you are. Because you don't get that. We're all sitting down.
Right.
There were more than a few people that messaged other people at Joe Fest that were there that went, oh my God, I knew he was short, but I didn't realize he was that short. I'm like, yeah, I've told you, like you've seen other pictures of me.
Yeah. I mean, like I've now become good friends with Emil Wickman, who's a customizer in our community, and he's from Sweden. And, he's been the guy that has a table right next to me at Legions Con the last few years. And we talk all the time, but he lives in Sweden. I live in Missouri. Like we would never, if it wasn't for this toy community, we would never have crossed paths. Right. And it's there's good and bad to the whole social media thing. I think, the bad is that everybody feels like, whatever thought is in their head, they feel like they've got to blurt it out for the whole world to hear at all times. But the good is that it has connected people to where it makes you realize that, hey, you're not strange for liking toys. There's other people that also like toys. There's other people that collect this stuff just like you and have the same interest. And it brings people together from all across the world, and allows you to kind of talk about the things that you enjoy, which is cool.
I think that's the craziest thing is it brings people across the world. And I tell people like that I meet, my daily travels for work. I'm like, I've met people from Australia, New Zealand, Ireland, and then I've met some of them in real life because they've actually, there's some guys, there's a couple of guys from Ireland and stuff. They come out to, is it Ireland? I think it's Ireland. They come out to Joe Fest every year. Like every year, like this is our thing. And again, that's a huge commitment, especially when you have a family, right? And to let your family know. But they look at it, it's like, hey, this is the one thing that I do. I don't have friends that do this at home.
We have a group of guys that came over from the UK for Legions Con a couple years ago, and they did not know each other at all. They all three came from the UK, did not know each other at all. Met at Legions Con. They're like, "Oh, I'm from the UK too." And then they started their own podcast together. It's now called the Euro Legions Podcast, and they've been doing it now for a couple years. But they only, like, even though they are relatively in a near area, they never would have met had it wasn't for going to the United States and going to this con together, which is just really cool.
And you don't think about that because, again, you probably, again, before this whole YouTube thing, you probably told your kids the same thing that I told mine. Dude, these aren't your real friends. These people you're talking to, they're not your real friends. Now, obviously, you met your wife.
Yeah, I think the World of Warcraft kind of broke me of that. Like those the online friends have been my friends for a while. So,
but I mean, I know, like, when my ex and we split up, and my son was always on video games, and I remember, like, we're telling them, like, these aren't your real friends. I mean, I'm not saying they're not friends, but you don't know them.
right.
Now, he's just chatting with them. He's not really seeing them either. But I start doing this. It gets popular. I'm on other shows, and then you actually go, and now it's no longer, oh, you mean your YouTube friends? You're like, I met him in real life.
Yeah.
I know Tony. All right.
Yeah. Well, and then it's interesting too, like if you are on, shows and stuff, and then you get these folks that are in like the comments and stuff, like if you don't see them, like if they don't do a show with you or whatever, then all of a sudden they show up at a show and they're like they know you, but you don't recognize them because they're just in the comment. And especially if they don't use their real name, like they've got some like sort of like, YouTube strange name in here.
Yep.
And then, so they'll be like, hi, I'm Bob. I'm like, I don't know who you are, Bob. I'm such and such on YouTube. Oh, okay. Now I know who you are. Like, you kind of put the face with the name.
When I went to PowerCon, and I had met Oz, that was his biggest gripe. I think it was after the show, like the next stream he did, he was like, don't ever come up to me and say, hey, I'm Steve. When you're, and again, Furious Figures, I don't know what your name is. When your on-screen name is Furious Figures, I don't know who you are. Don't introduce yourself as Steve, because I'm not going to know who you are. So I hounded about that. When I went to Joe Fest. I'm like, hey, do not come up to me and tell me your name. Tell me your screen name, and then we can find out what your real name is. That's fine.
Yeah.
GI Bro, Rich. He's like, hey, Punk, GI Bro. I'm like, thank you. He's like, no, you made sure to. It's like, you made sure don't say I'm Rich because you're not gonna know who I am.
Yeah.
Exactly. But again, like, I don't have to go up to somebody for the most part and say, hey, I'm a Punk with Toys.
Yeah.
Most people, they've seen me, right? So if I say I'm Lawrence, there may be some people that don't know, and I'm sorry, I'm a Punk. Like, most people have seen me.
Yeah, like I'm going to Jolanta here towards the end of this month, and there's probably going to be a bunch of people there that don't know who I am. But like I go to Legions Con, I don't have to say shit to nobody. Like I know, like if you're in the Legions community and you're going to Legions Con, you've seen this face somewhere. So,
So again, it sounds kind of arrogant, and I know everyone's going to go, you? If you're in the Joe community and you have not seen me or you don't know, I'm just assuming you don't really watch a lot of YouTube GI Joe content. And again, it's not so much that like I'm kind of a big deal.
Oh, very big deal.
It's just that I've done so much content that I would assume that if you're like into GI Joe and you've watched on YouTube, it's come across whether you like me or not. You're like, oh, I know who he is. I just don't like him, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely heard more about you than anybody else as far as being a big deal. Now I've heard it mostly from you, but still.
I would just like to say I'm not the one that started that. Okay. And I can honestly say, and Ed will agree. Ed will even confirm this if he's actually being honest. They were the ones that kept saying it at Joe Fest. They were the ones that kept saying it to me at Joe Fest, and like gaslighting me, like I was the one walking around.
I mean, the first time I saw you was the episode that you were doing with Joe Gonzalez, and you must have said at least 3 or 4 times in that interview how much of a big deal you were. So I was like, it must be true. It must be true. He keeps saying it. So that, and then talking about skateboarding, which we haven't talked any skateboarding. I figure there's going to be a lot more skateboarding talk. So
that only comes up if somebody wants to talk to me about it.
Ah, gotcha.
You want to talk about it?
We can't. I don't have a skateboarding story. I never skateboarded. I do have a funny rollerblade story that I could tell you, but I never did any skateboarding. So
what did you do on a rollerblade on your fruit booter? And hey, that came from a rollerblader that said fruit booter, not me. I never even heard of it.
I used to when I was really young, I used to love roller skating, right? Okay. And I would, you know, one of those things that like on the weekends, parents would just drop you off at the roller rink and you'd hang out with friends and just, you know, have a great time. But I could never really roller skate well. Like the way that I roller skated was I pushed off with the stopper to get myself to go forward. And I would just kind of get enough motion to go, you know. So at one point I'm like, you know, this is like, I'm probably 14, 15. I hadn't roller skated in years. And I was like, well, now the new thing is like rollerblades. Like it was brand new at the time. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to get a set of rollerblades. I'm going to try it out. But I was like, so I went and bought a set of rollerblades. They were nice, had like neon teal wheels on it. I'm like, this is awesome. I was like, but I don't know how to go forward. I don't know how to, because there's no stopper on the front. I don't know how to like propel myself. And so I had this brilliant idea. I thought it was amazing. I knew that over by the high school, there is a giant hill there that goes from, there's an elementary school on top of the hill, and then it goes down to the high school down at the bottom of the hill, that you drive into the parking lot. And I'm like, I will just walk to school because I make that walk every day to go to school anyway. I'm going to walk to school on a Saturday. I'm going to take the rollerblades with me, put the rollerblades on at the top of the hill, and then just let gravity take me so that I can, you know, I can get moving and I can kind of figure out how to do this whole rollerblading thing. So
you decided that you need to start at the top of the hill.
Yeah. Because I needed to get some momentum, you know. So I walk about a mile away from my house. So I walk a mile holding these rollerblades, walk down to the school, and the whole time I'm thinking this is a brilliant idea. And I get to the elementary school at the top of the hill. I take off my shoes, put on the rollerblades, and I'm like standing there. I'm like, okay, here we go. And so I kind of get down in a crouch position and kind of, you know, lean forward a little bit. And I start going. And at first I'm like, this is going pretty good. No wobble. It's, you know, going pretty good. I'm crouched down and it's a fairly steep hill and I'm going faster. And then I'm going even more faster. And then I realized that I have no idea how I'm supposed to stop or turn or do anything. So I'm just kind of at the mercy of gravity at this point. And is
there any grass by you, or is it?
There's grass on the sides, but this is like a double drive through. So like I'm right in the middle of it. I don't know how to even get
over.
I have no idea how to even turn or anything. And so I'm like, and at the bottom of the hill is a parking lot and it's mostly empty, but there's some people that were there for like, I don't know, doing stuff on the weekend or whatever. And I'm like, I'm going to totally like bite it into one of these cars and like kill myself if I don't figure out something. So my idea was, I was like, I'm just going to throw myself backwards. Kind of like that, like when they take a bump in wrestling, I'm gonna throw myself backwards and kind of land on the ground. And I'm going to slow myself down that way. So I do that. I kind of throw myself backwards, land on my ass, kind of, you know, arms smack the ground. And I just continue to go sliding down this hill on my ass. For another, I don't know, good 30, 40 feet. I get done. I get, you know, stopped and I immediately take off the rollerblades because I can't even stand up at this point. Take off the rollerblades. I stand up and realize that, you know, I've got my elbows are scraped and stuff, but also like I feel like air on my buttocks.
You went through the pants,
through the underwear, complete, like, my ass is just hanging out of my blue jeans completely. And now I've got to walk a mile home on like the busiest street of my town on the weekend on Saturday, carrying my rollerblades with my ass hanging out. Yeah, I mean, a bunch of cars honking at me as I'm going along. with my ass hanging out the whole time.
That might be the biggest walk of shame I've ever heard.
It was pretty rough. And then the worst part of it was
jeans.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. There about halfway to my house, so about a half a mile in, there's a 7-Eleven that I always would stop at to get a Slurpee. And I remember they had like baseball pogs at that time. They had like the lenticular pogs with like baseball players on it. And I wanted to get a Slurpee. I'm like, there's no way I can stop in there with my ass hanging out and get a Slurpee. And I had been looking forward to that. Like after I do this whole rollerblading thing, which is going to be a complete success, I can stop at 7-Eleven and get a Slurpee with one of the baseball pogs. So yeah, I got home, no pog, totally destroyed the rollerblades, like the clip broke off and stuff, ass hanging out. And that was the one and only time I ever rollerbladed. So,
okay. Did you tell your parents? You had to explain the assless jeans, right?
I believe my dad was out, but I believe my mom was home. And so I had to explain to her that I had ruined the rollerblades that I had just purchased, and that, my pants were ruined as well. And because I think that's the year that I did not buy any new pants for school. So I was going off the ones that I had from the previous year. And so I was down another pair of pants because they gave us a budget each year to spend on clothing. And that year I had bought some Reebok pumps with the budget. And I bought an IOU sweatshirt and some Z Cavarici pants. So I had one cool outfit for the first day of school. And then everything else was stuff I had from the previous year. It was a very strategic approach. Rather than buying a bunch of clothes and underwear and shirts and stuff to last throughout the whole year, I bought one really cool outfit so I could make a good first impression on the first day of school. And then I looked like a bum every other day. So, yeah. So there you go. That's my rollerblading story.
There's a pretty large hill that I know people bomb, but there's grass on both sides, and I can say that I've gone down a couple that aren't as big as that one, and as I've gotten older, I realize how difficult it is to do the speed, like kind of the speed check to kind of slow yourself down. I also realize I don't have I'm not going to say the ability, but I'm going to say I don't have the nerve to let that speed build up anymore. I have nothing to prove. I have a lot to lose.
Yeah, it got to a point where I was like, I've got to do something or I'm going to probably die. And I'm like, this is going to hurt, but I gotta flop. And I flopped. So, and
what's funny while you were explaining it. So, we used to have like one parent would take us snowboarding, and then we'd have another one pick us up. And my dad was like, I'm not going to drive. It's like an hour away. I'm not going to drive there and drive home. I'll just wait it out. He sat in the lodge. And then after the first time he did it, he said, I'm just going to try ski. So he tried skiing. He never skied before. And we were off,
Yeah.
And my buddy that we went with, Doug, was like, yeah, he goes, I went up with your dad. And he can make it down the hill. He doesn't know what to do. Now we're snowboarding. He's on skis. I've never skied before.
Yeah.
So it was the smallest of the hills, and he would just get on it. He didn't know how to do the snow plow.
Yep.
He would just go. Now it went right out into the parking lot. And I remember they were like, there's your dad. And I see him, and he's going. Now, luckily it's the smaller hill.
Yeah.
And he would aim himself. So he would go into the flat.
Yeah.
And then if there was too much speed, he aimed himself so he went in between the fences to the parking lot. And that's what would eventually stop him. So he wouldn't fall down. He'd just stay on it. And then you see him walking back. And that's what I heard from you. But I also know that there was no way to stop. But what you were, I thought you were going to say you ran into a car, but you didn't.
No.
Because everything you were explaining was how I remember my dad, but on skis, which is, I'd rather fall on snow than.
Oh yeah, yeah. Concrete on the ass is not fun. I
Well,
can tell you that.
once you said like you tried doing like what wrestlers do, I'm like, but like you're moving,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
and as stiff as those wrestling rings are, concrete there literally is no give.
Yeah, I was hurting afterwards. I was my elbows were bloody. It was not a fun time. So
Yeah, and Stanley said he said he had a similar experience with snow skis, but lack of muscle in my right foot due to my cerebral palsy. I could not keep my ski straight to actually ski. Well, at least you have an excuse. My dad, he just kept going.
yeah, I had no excuse other than stupidity. So
I just love the fact that you decided to go to the highest point.
yeah, that was my, I was like momentum and I thought it was a great idea the whole time. I was like, man, this is a good idea.
You say you were like 14?
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah.
So again, it shows you how stupid we were at 14.
Oh yeah.
That we really thought like why would you start like a quarter of the way? You're like, you know what?
Man.
I'm gonna wreck this so awesomely that I'm gonna go to the top. And by the time I'm done, oh dude, I'll have this down and I'm gonna show up at the next skating rink and I'm gonna fly around everyone on these cool new rollerblades.
Yeah. Yeah, because I was really into like me and a bunch of folks on the street. We would play like street hockey. But I was just doing it in tennis shoes. And I'm like, dude, if I can get this rollerblade thing down, man, I'm just gonna be flying all around these folks playing the street hockey. So
when I used to work at a skate shop and all the kids that like started coming in, they were a little bit younger than me. And they went to a different school and everything. So I started skating with them and everything. And one of the girls, her mom's boyfriend owned the roller skating rink. And they lived upstairs. It had like a whole apartment upstairs. Like, how the fuck do you sleep in here? Like when this is going, she's like, you just learn to deal with it. Well, the parents would go out of town and we'd go in there and skateboard. She'd let us bring in a couple different ramps, a couple different ledges. We'd skate, right? And you would think like, I don't know why. I always thought like a roller skating rink would be awful to skate in, but it's not because the wheels are meant to stick. So it's actually greater than anything. But you skate there a little bit and you're skating with these things you brought in and you're like, I do this all the time, dude. Like, let's get out some roller skates, right? I don't know how to roller skate. I mean, I can make it around. So they, the music's going, strobe lights, and you're skating, right? Well, come to find out, a lot of these kids that we were skating with, they worked there. So they knew how to roller skate. So here I'm by far the best of all the skaters there. I'm older, and again, they get on the roller skates and they're just flying around. Okay, fine.
Doing the backwards weaving and all that kind of shit. And
then the girl it's her place or her mom's boyfriend's place.
Yeah.
And these two other girls, they have their own skates. Then they leave and they come back. And then they have these long skates. Come to find out, they're speed skaters.
Oh.
And then they start whipping around you. And they're doing their whiplash. And you're like, holy shit, dude. Like, you've never seen them. Like they don't go outside and do this. Like, they're not doing this around when you're skating.
Right.
And again, you're happy because you're skating. And then you see like there's another guy there that he was skating around. I didn't realize he worked there. And do you ever watch hockey by any chance?
Oh yeah.
Do you know who Dino Cicerelli is by any chance?
Sounds familiar.
He was an old Red Wing. He bounced around.
Okay.
Dino Cicerelli was like skating around with his like daughter on his shoulders, and Aaron was like, "You can't do that." And he's like, "Do you know who I am?" He's like, "I don't care who you are." Like, it's like an 18-year-old kid telling one of the best forwards and enforcers, not to do this. But he's skating around. But man, these girls came out, and I didn't even know there was such. I knew there was speed ice skating. I didn't know there was like speed roller skating.
That's
and
crazy.
When they just whip and they'd fly right by you. And of course, this was their time to show off.
Oh yeah.
And to me, it was, again, roller skaters are a lot like ice skaters. They have like the
I used to.
perfect body.
Did you ever watch like the roller derby stuff?
Well, there's more than a few of them that go to the skate park.
Gotcha. I loved watching that stuff where they would like, one would grab the other one and whip them around and they'd come out. Yeah, dude, that was so cool.
So your nemesis has shown up.
Better be growing that facial hair back. That's all I'm saying.
You made him buy a Valaverse figure.
Yep.
You at least owe it to him, Thanos, to grow that facial hair back.
Yep. I haven't even blocked you on Instagram like some people do. So, or reported you. I haven't reported you to Meta yet either.
I cannot believe that his if you're not following Thanos on Instagram, you need to, if you have a strong stomach. If you are if you're a little sensitive.
Yeah, if you're offended easily, maybe not the one for you.
So. Ooh, look at this cry. He's telling you to cry. Well, why don't you tell everyone where they can find you and what you have going on right now?
So the main place to find me is underneath my name there, the Art by Akerman on YouTube. Yeah,
he said he got in trouble on Wednesday.
Yeah, I saw he got I think he had something that was taken down. So.
Oh, really?
So yeah, Art by Akerman is my YouTube channel. I'm on a bunch of other shows and stuff too, but that's my main thing is it's really a channel for customizing. So I do a bunch of different things on there. On Mondays I talk to folks in the community. It's called a How'd They Do That segment, where I talk to different artists on how they created their art. So that's every Monday. When I'm traveling for work, I do what's called a travel toy video, where I always go and do like a toy hunt and get a toy, kind of document that. And then I also do like exploded figure reviews. So all the Mythic Legions figures, I like break them up into every part that you can break them into, as many parts that you can come apart as possible, and then just kind of talk about all the details of it in case you want to use anything for customizing. And then do live painting and different things like that. So it's really just a whole channel about, kind of playing with your toys, having fun and customizing. Very heavily Legions focused, but I do some stuff with, McFarlane and some different things like that on there as well. So that's the main place. But, I'm also on like Let's Go All For It on Friday nights. I'm on the Just Shelve It channel for Shooting the Shelf on Sundays. I'm on Oz's Clubhouse on Fridays. I'm on Purple Gang on Saturdays. I'm Purple Gang on Saturday, and a million other places. So like I said, if you're in the Legions community, you've definitely seen my face probably too many times. So
no, but I gotta say this, and this is what I've told Tony numerous times about doing a customizing channel.
Mm-hmm.
Is everyone has the ability to Dremel out a head for a specific neck peg, right? But not everyone's willing to do it because they've never seen someone do it. Or remove paint. Now, of course, you have to have only this Winsor and Newton restore to do it, which I do have.
One of the lucky few. Yeah.
The proud.
Yeah.
The Winsor and Newton.
Yep.
The few, the proud, the restore.
I mean, it's not a channel idea that's going to get you, hundreds of thousands of followers. It's a very niche thing. But I just enjoy doing it.
But it's something, and that's what I keep telling Tony. I go, the stuff you're doing, like if you show people how to Dremel it out, how to change this, how to change that, especially paint. Paint's the biggest thing. It is evergreen material because people will be looking to paint something. It doesn't have to be a G.I. Joe figure. It could be a McFarlane. It could be a car. It could be anything. And they're hearing about the paints that you're using. Or if there's some sort of other type of plastic, they're going to see it and be like, oh, wait a minute. Maybe this can help.
I've got like one video that's on like loose joints, like dealing with loose joints that people just keep going back to. I've got a few on painting eyes. That's one that people struggle with a lot. And I've had people tell me, like, every time I go to paint a set of eyes, I just pull up the video and I listen to it as I'm painting the eyes. And So yeah, you're right. You're just kind of building a library of resources. So it's, once again, it's not going to ever get, thousands of views on a single video, but it's, just a resource that kind of builds up.
Yeah, and again, I tell everyone almost all of my material, because I do mostly reviews when it comes to, pre-made content. It has a shelf life.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's going to last anywhere from 2 to maybe 6 weeks if I'm lucky. And then sometimes you have one that just kind of bounces around. But for the most part, once that's done, it's over. Though how to remove paint using this continues to get views, and it continues to grow. But it didn't have a huge thing at the beginning, but it continues to grow because it's one of those things. And I've had people mad at me that they're like, you need to remove this if you can't get that anymore. I'm like, I'm
going to go comment on that right after the show.
And I'm like, when someone tells me, I'm thinking, you realize like this thing generates money for me. I do specifically talk about getting this one and not the other one. But at that time, it was still available.
Yeah, I'm gonna go comment on that. I'm gonna go thumbs down that video and then comment on it. This should be removed. It's false advertising.
That stuff isn't even real.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like that lady on the plane. That motherfucker right there isn't real. Just me pointing to the Windsor Newton.
You should do that.
Yeah.
You should do it. You should do a parody of that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, man, it's actually leaking.
Don't let that out. That's the magic.
I was wondering about my hand. I don't know why the hell it's leaking, but I better. Well, first off, I better move everything.
Yeah.
Why the hell is it leaking? I mean, I'm kind of aggravated. Anyway, if it spills all over, then you're really gonna be mad.
Yeah,
like, you wasted all that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, thank you very much for joining me. I asked you if you would be available. I never had any intention of pushing you back, but like I said, I like to mix and match people and have. It's also nice to have someone that, like, when you have specific people that want to do it, and you're like, all right, I got to keep them for when I'm short someone.
Gotcha. I'm like the backup girlfriend, right?
Well, I only get one chance. I needed someone for a wedding. I didn't have anyone.
Yeah, there you
go. No, like, again, I knew you wanted to. I knew you were available. And I'm able to kind of mix and match. And like I said, I don't want to have like all Joe guys.
Yeah.
Because that's not all that I'm, all that I do. Obviously. But even if I was like, there's other people that just tune in because for some odd reason they find me amusing. Whatever.
I could see that. You're a big deal.
I'm kind of a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Even though Allison is throwing out a short joke right here, which is very hurtful to my ego. So anyway, I'm going to let you go. Thank you very much. In the description is his Instagram and YouTube channel. Go over there, subscribe, follow, do all that good stuff, grow our community, and go pick up some Mythic Legions. You're not going to be upset with them. I will give everyone that. So, Curtis, thank you very much. I will see you you'll be on Oz's on Saturday probably. So anyway,
absolutely.
Everyone, take care. We will see you another day.